What is going on, everybody? It is episode 339 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, crisis actors. It's Mary. I think that given the weather changing, it's time for some spring cleaning. And today, with this poll, we are cleaning out the chat of the feds.
Yes. I did ask the chat, ladies and gentlemen, is paying taxes woke? Yes or no?
Everything that we don't like is woke. Yes. So if you don't like taxes, they're woke.
And it's coming up now because I was having issues with my tax forms this year. I was filling them out in protest, to be fair. In protest, filling them out and ran into some trouble and had to get it taken care of today. So, you know, that's
you were paying your taxes to protest paying your taxes?
No, I was protesting while doing so.
Oh.
Yeah, I was basically screaming Attica while paying my taxes. We have a guest host with us today on a Wednesday. Introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah, that all sounds pretty woke. These stink bugs are pretty woke too, man.
You look like you're having a great time.
Well, I was relaxed, and then you said we're going live, and there was one on my leg, so you know I'm on guard now.
Yeah.
But hey, guys, it's Kellen. Thanks for having me.
Having a good day, buddy?
It just started for me. You know, night shift. I just woke up and came here.
All right.
So.
I just zoomed in your shot a little bit, so you're gonna sit like this the whole time.
Yeah.
You got the good posture right there.
Yeah, sure.
All right. We had a bunch of stuff to talk about today, guys. The Little Mermaid. If there wasn't enough bad press surrounding the Little Mermaid, they are going to be updating the music for modern audiences. You too can say that in the Critical Drinker's voice. We will talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about how they're updating the song Kiss the Girl, which, of course, you know, in 2023, you can't do that. You can't kiss Cinderella, and you certainly can't kiss Little Mermaid without getting consent from either of those lovely young women. So we will talk about that. We're going to talk about Lizzo. She is in a shapewear civil war, if that's such a thing is real. She did an episode of The Mandalorian because The Mandalorian is falling off a cliff, as Mary said.
It was never good.
Is never good?
No.
All right. Mary said on her Twitter or on her Instagram earlier that good thing Gina Carano got out when she did.
Dodged a bullet there.
Dodged a bullet. We're going to talk about Donald Glover. He's producing a project for Malia Obama. Yes, it's
a short film, yes, right? Let me guess what it's going to be about, though.
What do you think it's going to be about?
Is it going to be about social justice and racism?
Dude, I hope so. I can imagine
that would be such an original idea. I'd actually be shocked. I'd be floored by that.
I won't take this Donald Glover slander. He's actually been pretty based through it all.
Yeah,
Atlanta's a great show.
That's what's
After This Is America? Yeah. Really?
It's one song.
Yeah.
And honestly,
the music video was awful.
It was a piece of art, you know, and it wasn't a whole album. It wasn't a whole album, and he didn't try to shove it down your throat. He was just like, I made a song, and then mainstream media.
I do like Childish Gambino for the most part as a rapper. So.
I'm not saying he's not talented. I'm just saying he's
Go listen to his other stuff. Go listen to Bonfire. Go listen to Freaks and Geeks.
All right. Yeah. So we're gonna talk about that. I also want to talk about the fact that Tina Fey called him she actually called him a diversity hire via NBC's diversity initiative. So we're going to get into all of that. And then we're going to talk about if there's one thing Pop Culture Crisis has become very talented at here, we are here to let you know about all the degeneracy that is coming to your screens in the form of reality television. We found something that somehow every bit as degenerate, if not more degenerate, than MILF Manor, and that is a show called Naked Education, in which old people get naked in front of children. You think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding. That's the show.
Premise of the show. In the guise of
body positivity and diversity, in helping people understand that not all bodies look the same. For that, Kellen, it's okay for old, wrinkly people to get naked in front of 14 to 16-year-olds.
Arrest them all.
Yeah, basically. So, also they refer to it as she's breaking taboos.
It's funny that we have to worry about whether YouTube will penalize us for covering this topic, but they don't have to worry about their show getting canceled.
Nope.
Because they're literally being child predators.
We got a $20 one right there, Mary.
Francisco Sanchez Jr. said, "Hello, Mary, Kellen, and the King Brett. This is for Taylor. 2 really good Bigfoot horror movies exists from Blair Witch Project director and primal rage.
What's funny about that is
Okay.
after we did that segment yesterday, I got a message from Wesley. He's like, "Oh man, I gotta come on there." I knew he would be upset because he's such a big fan of anything cryptid.
Yeah, supernatural.
So he's like, "Oh, I gotta come on and set the record straight about
Does
all
he think
that."
that Bigfoot's real?
I'm not going to speak for him, but we will have him on soon to talk about all that. By the way, guys, she read that $20 super chat because anytime you super chat over $20, we will interrupt the conversation and get started reading that right away and then work our way back into the conversation as best we can. We do our very best to not get distracted when we get interrupted. But if you'd like to interrupt us and try to get us off topic, you can do that. Also, remember to please hit the like button, subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Turn the notification bell on so that you get notified anytime a new episode of Pop Culture Crisis goes live or one of our segments goes up. If you are ready, guys, then we can just get right into it.
We're ready.
Yeah, as ready as I'll be.
All right, so we got a couple of smaller announcements first. The first is that Super Mario Bros. Is looking to open big, $225 million opening, which is $125 million they're predicting in the North American market and $100 million plus overseas. So take that, Chris Pratt haters.
I was watching a trailer, and it was actually a tweet, and someone said, if Princess Peach had all these ninja moves, how is she always getting captured?
That's a good question.
And then I was thinking about the conversation that we had, that you're not allowed to be a vulnerable, feminine woman anymore in Hollywood.
No.
So that's why Princess Peach is a ninja. It's because you can't be, oh, help me, Mario. You can't be that. That would not be...
They kind of did that to Bo Peep in Toy Story as well, really badly. But I don't think it's going to be as extreme in this case.
We'll see. It's really funny because that's like one of those like tropes that I miss from the old days. Like one of the great things about Buffy the Vampire Slayer is she's the opposite of that. She doesn't need to be saved by anyone. But then when Angel started, you do get some of those scenes where Angel gets to help the damsel in distress. I love it. I'm here for it. It's one of those things that I talk about where it speaks to reality, and you can't always understand why something doesn't feel authentic in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Maybe you don't pay that close of attention to how they see things ideologically, but you understand BS when you see it, right? And one of those things that feels natural is when a big hulking dude the size of David Boreanaz has to come and save a very tiny woman.
I mean,
it
doesn't even need to be some kind of like size differential thing. Like, can men just do something correctly on screen and not be F-ups for once? I also was thinking about this with like Hermione and Ron because we were talking about them yesterday.
Yep.
How some moments in the books where Ron gets a success, she takes it in the movies. Yep. It's her moment in the movies. So then why are we supposed to believe that she sees anything in him?
Yeah, it is always, it makes
like,
more sense as in the books because what they go throughout the sixth and the seventh book, especially once they're no longer at school in the seventh book and they're basically looking for Horcruxes together. There's a lot of shared. First of all, there's like tension between them that's built up over the previous books. But then once they start going through all of that shared trauma together of trying to track down these magical artifacts and destroy Voldemort, it makes more sense. But in the movies, it just happens too quickly. And it's just like, what would she see in this guy?
Yeah, and then there was almost nothing in the previous movies from what I can tell so far.
So we will we'll see how it goes, but Chris Pratt will laugh all the way to the bank, and he's going to continue to be a nice guy. Now, what I want somebody to make is they need to make a superimposed version of Mario with a Gadsden flag on his hat, and then put Chris Pratt like voiceover over it. It would be amazing.
I bet Chris Pratt says taxation is woke.
That would be it'd be an interesting.
I don't know. You think so?
It'd be an interesting movie, Life After Mario, or like Life After the Adventure, and he's just like in a cardboard box in New York City trying to get by.
Mario?
Yeah.
There are already people dressed up as Mario in a cardboard box in New York City, so
See,
it's a little too accurate to reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be like it'll be a documentary.
It's and if it was up to these weirdos on Twitter, that Chris Pratt would be in a box out in New York City, and he wouldn't have a family, he wouldn't have kids, he would just be miserable because he dares to.
Because he went to Hillsong.
Yeah, because, like supposedly went to Hillsong. I don't even know if that part is true.
I don't know either.
Like, and a lot of them went there, right? Like the Kardashians went to Hillsong, and so did Justin Bieber for a period of time.
And the principle is that they think Hillsong is homophobic, right?
Yes.
I don't even know what that is.
But it's like
it's a famous
go to any
Oh.
self-professing Catholic celebrity and you get them to answer for what the Catholic Church says about homosexuality or something. Like it's irrelevant.
Is that supposed to be like the equivalent of like a politician kissing a baby? Is that like that what that church is?
Hillsong?
Like with all these celebrities going there?
I don't know. I mean, like, if anything, you'd think a lot of them go to bigger churches because the bigger church might understand their need for privacy.
I don't know.
Like, also in the chat, somebody, Hellraiser Art says, I don't think Chris Pratt is as based as they want him to be. I don't actually think so either.
Not.
I think he's just, he's what I would call like he somehow managed to keep normie status.
he walked back his religious beliefs,
and people
anyway.
didn't like that when we made a video about that.
Well, you
saying,
know what
like,
he said?
He should have stood strong.
I don't know if it was a joke. I think it was a joke, but he was saying like how he's hoping people understand that his Mario voice will help fight stigmas. And I'm like, what, against Italian people?
Against Italian people?
Dude, Mario is a
Valid.
timeless video game character. We don't need you to friggin' rub your grubby little fingers all over it and change it.
What if he did an Italian accent that was badly done? That would be worse, right?
That's probably what happened. And he's like, oh, I got to come up with an excuse. They can't know that I'm not talented, you know?
Yeah.
Chris Pratt is talented. Let's leave him alone.
Yeah, but
There are no A-lister Italian voice actors.
he's
I'm
not Da
sorry to
Vinci,
say.
okay? He can't do everything.
All right, we get a couple of other things. I want to bring this up just a little bit. So, Bam Margera made this weird video where he basically said that he wants to box Johnny Knoxville, and I don't really want to talk about that. I want to talk just a little bit about the downward spiral that Bam Margera is on, and pointed out as something where I've joked in the past about substance abuse because I myself am in recovery and feel like on the other end of that, it lends perspective and allows me to kind of joke about stuff like that because I do understand how serious it is. On my shoulder?
Yeah.
This side?
Yeah.
Did it? All right. Dirt
Go
off the
on.
shoulder. Thank you. But with a situation like this, what we're looking at here is a very clear downward trajectory that's going very poorly, in which a lot of people have gone out of their way to try to help him, between Johnny Knoxville, between Steve-O, and everyone that got him involved in Jackass, and when they were making Jackass the movie that he was not able to stay sober for. And I didn't even pull up a specific article. I just went to TMZ and looked up
There's
Bam
always
Margera.
something.
And these last 6 or 7 pieces are just within the last couple of days. And it's everything from wants to fight Johnny Knoxville in this weird video where he's just randomly talking about it. He's kicked out of a hotel right before an arrest because he was fighting with his ex-wife. He's fighting with his ex-wife in public over custody of their son. And what I see here is someone who is struggling to stay sober, who desperately wants to be a good father to his son, but doesn't realize that he's not in that position right now. And it's leading him down a very, very dark and dangerous path because he's been taken to rehab. He's been told routinely by people that care about him. We're not talking about just random people saying, hey man, maybe you should get sober. People that know him well, people that clearly care about him and have no vested financial interest in keeping him using. This isn't a Britney Spears thing where it's somebody, this isn't a Britney Spears thing where people benefit from him being on drugs. These are his friends who are all self-sufficient on their own. You could maybe make the argument that the ex-wife could have a problem, could do this, but that doesn't seem that way to me. It's just a very clear trajectory. He got a face tattoo with his son's name on it.
No.
Like, it's all very erratic behavior that's indicative of someone that's going through a very, very rough time right now.
I would imagine that being someone who is on the show, in the movies Jackass early on too, you know, like you kind of have to be out there to agree to just humiliate yourself and hurt yourself for laughs. Like, so he's probably already kind of dealing with mental illness. And then, if there's addiction going on, it's just going to completely derail the train.
To what extent would you guys say, like, Jackass or entertainment, like, did this to him?
Oh, I never am going to put that blame on somebody else. You make
not on a person, but on an industry.
Even then, you're like, when it comes to drugs, you are responsible for your own actions. You can absolutely be manipulated and taken down a dark path, but there is a lot of opportunities in your life each and every day to turn that around. It's one of the hardest things in the entire world to do. I'm in no way saying that what they're asking of him or what he needs to do is easy. But the simple fact is that to get clean, you do have to take responsibility for your own actions in the future. You may not have control over what happened to you in the past, but you are in control of what happens to you in the future, and he's going to have to do that. Steve-O left this like long message basically saying, look, I took you on tour to show you what you could be, what you could have if you understood how important being sober was.
Right. And
he's not ready to be
So-
there
This
yet.
was public, though. I don't know if that should
I
be
was not a
public.
fan of the public part of that either, but he was also called out by, like, Steve-O was called out by him in public, so he responded in public.
What do you do in this situation though? Because I think it's a lot of a public tweet or a video. It's not gonna help Bam. Like you need someone to be like, I don't care what you're saying. I'm not listening to you. You grab him by the wrist and you take him to rehab.
They've done that. He left.
Well, you can't So what do you do in this situation?
A person cannot voluntarily commit him.
I mean,
in a
what
way
do you
that
do? Go
forces him
no
to stay there.
contact?
Yeah,
Well,
a lot of people do
It's
that.
not gonna help. I mean, because
$20.
Is it going to make him
$20.
spiral more? That's Danzatastic said, Rookie of the Year is a classic. Jingle All the Way is more of a classic. Was going to use this super chat to simp for Mary, but instead I just want to say, Brett, I am proud of ya for staying clean. I know it can be difficult.
Thank you.
I'm glad
very
you
much
used
for
your
that.
super chat wisely.
Also, he is correct that Jingle All the Way is a classic. And if you are a fan, have you ever seen Rookie of the Year, Kel?
yeah, it's a good one. I like that
Well,
one.
stay tuned for today's Crisis Party sound effect. It is, in
Oh.
fact, inspired by Rookie of the Year. So, look, all I'm saying with Bam is that I get what he's going through. I went through something very similar. Mine was a little bit different. When I was going through the worst of it, I became very much it leaned into the most my worst isolationist tendencies, meaning that when I used, I did not act out. If anything, I self-destructed privately.
Yeah, from everything you've said, you at least were able to seem functional to the
Also-
people around you. But for Ben Margera, he's obviously making a huge spectacle.
Well, it depends on everyone's gonna react differently and there's different substances out there that you can be addicted to.
Yep.
But it's a damn shame that you can't. I guess it's voluntary to go to rehab and he can check himself out.
He was in rehab earlier this year and he left.
And he left.
He wouldn't stay.
But so I don't even know. Psychiatric holds are not even common anymore. So it's how, as a society, even if you're a friend that truly wants to help them, how are you supposed to do that?
Like when I got clean, that was after but it wasn't because somebody committed me. It's because I was going through something where I was acting out while on something, and that led to a 72-hour cycle that was released after 24 hours, because once you sober up, you're no longer acting out, and it's like you can't rely on the system to fix you, and unfortunately you can't rely on your friends either. You have to, at a certain point, look at your behavior and decide you want to change. It's one of the hardest things in the world to do, but for someone like him, with a child, with custody problems and all that stuff, some people will look at that as the wake-up call. Other people will look at that as something that is a trigger and makes it even worse. And he will need to find a way to turn this into a wake-up call and not a trigger.
Well, who was it? Matthew McConaughey that in recent years did that weird retreat in the desert for 2 weeks and no one heard from him, and no one
did?
Was it McConaughey?
I don't know.
A famous celebrity. I think it was him. I could be wrong. Chat, if you know the answer, please let me know. But he just disappeared for 2-3 weeks. I don't think it was drugs related, but maybe that's something that needs to happen. Completely removed himself from his normal life, right? Took a different country, completely different landscape, no internet, no cell phones for 3 weeks, and he came back, and he did it for a more spiritual kind of retreat. But
it's not the same thing.
I don't know if that would help people like this.
If you start going through withdrawal in a foreign country, you're going to be terrified, and it's going to be scary.
Sure.
You need to be you can't just do that on your own.
But you can't have that safety net that is the United States currently, that's going to entertain your addiction, just like they entertain Britney's craziness. That's the thing. Men get neglected, but the women who would act like Bam Margera are going to be celebrated for being their true selves. So it's
Isn't that weird?
How do we we need to rip out the safety
I don't see
net.
people. The thing is, it is true that with Britney, people are still like coping and commenting that she's finally free to be herself, and this is why she's acting erratically. And for Bam Margera, no one is denying the fact that this is obviously an addiction spiraling out of control. This morning, I watched a video by Drew Monson, My Toe Cold, on YouTube, and he like has made comebacks to YouTube like over and over and over again. He's like done a hiatus and then come back, done a hiatus and then come back in a constant like cycle for a long time. And then he finally talked about his addiction and like going to rehab and stuff. And one thing he said was that when he was in rehab and told other people in rehab what he was there for, it was like sleeping pills or something. They were like, "Oh, that's not bad enough. You're going to be here again." Or something. Like, that's such a horrible thing to say to someone. And also, another thing he said was there was like a visitation hour where some other patient's daughter came to visit him. This like middle-aged guy that was also there, and then recognized him from his YouTube.
That's gotta be horrible. From
across the room. Yeah. And then the guy goes over to him and it says like, "Oh, my daughter recognizes you from YouTube. Would you be willing to say hi to her?" Like
when you're literally
like
at your most vulnerable.
Like this is some kind of meet and greet.
Yeah. Right.
Like he's at his most
insane.
It's like with Tekashi 6ix9ine when he just got jumped, and there's the guy that always like, "Hey, I'm a big fan." Right after he gets jumped.
So weird, right? Like, what is wrong with people's like social?
It's been
awareness?
What's the word I'm looking for? It's been quantified, right? You're in like through social media, like the likes and the view counts and the clicks, right? You're able to now put a number to how well you're being a member in society, and that's what it is. Yeah. If I get a selfie with this person, imagine what everyone else will think.
Well, my hope is that Bam Margera can turn it around, because unfortunately this is the type of cycle that I've seen all too often. So I'll keep an eye on it
for a while, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's ramped up in recent months since he left rehab and wouldn't stay in rehab afterwards. So we'll see. Like that's like it's not the most uncommon thing for somebody in his position, but it just seems to be particularly volatile. So my hope is that it turns out better for him than it does for a lot of people in that situation. All right, I got one more small thing I want to rant about, just ever so slightly. If you guys saw, I posted on Twitter earlier, there was an article posted about, it's a common argument that's been going on in comics for a long time, which is what the Punisher logo means and its association with law enforcement. And that was fine when it was just comics people arguing about it, but now they're bringing that storyline into the Daredevil Born Again series, which I am not a fan of. This article says, Daredevil Born Again reportedly shows John Bernthal's Punisher go on a rampage after racist cops misuse his logo. And he says, "You and I are not the same." Now, the funny thing is, that's a funny misconstruction of the original idea of that comic, which was, he says to a cop, he says, "Look, I'm a criminal. You're law enforcement. You shouldn't be worshiping my logo. That doesn't make any sense," which is fine, right? My problem is actually more the fact that they're turning something that is clearly like an in conversation between comics nerds and people in that industry, and turning it into a meta storyline that doesn't need to be there. Like, I don't want cops in the world in which the Punisher, Frank Castle, exists. I don't want them to think about the Punisher logo at all. I don't want it to matter. In the Daredevil series, if we're not talking about the comics, if we're talking about the series, he doesn't even really put the skull logo on until almost the end of his run in Daredevil. Also, I would have to ask, do they really think that normies, especially normie law enforcement officers, know a ton about Punisher ideology and history? I would bet that most see a cool logo, because let's face it, it is a super cool logo, and they at most know he's a cool anti-hero that likes guns.
Well, that's just it. Like, this is what's happening. It's a convenient way to just have the Punisher go on a rampage. Like, the anti-hero, you can't really do that anymore. It's not allowed. The few examples are Deadpool, because he's funny
I
and
disagree.
jokes the whole
think,
time.
I think more than ever they actually push this type of gray level, gray morality.
But you can't have the Punisher go on a rampage nowadays unless it's for some noble cause. Those racist cops, we'll get them.
It's also
right?
that was the other thing I was saying. Is like, what about the not racist cops who like the logo? Are they okay? Like,
well, they think all cops are racist.
Exactly.
Imagine the one guy that just happened to be on shift that day, and now his family's got no father because the Punisher got triggered by someone else using. Like, this seems like a copyright issue.
It seems like they've racialized the encounter that happened in the comics where he said, "You and I are not the same." So, originally it was about him being a criminal and them being law enforcement.
Yes.
Now it's about him being not racist and them being racist.
Which reminded me of the hilarious gaffe that went on during the show Peacemaker, in which everybody hates Peacemaker's dad.
We've got a super chat from Shane H. Wilder. He said, "What's next? Are they going to retcon out Daredevil's Catholicism in order to push a narrative, even though it's a titular part of his character?
Yes.
Stay salty, my brothers and sister. After all, you are the salt of the earth."
I don't think they'll ever retcon out his Christian his Catholicism. I think they lean less on it. Here's the thing, though. Okay, so the average cop is not steeped in ideology. They don't care. And I lost my train of thought. I was talking about Peacemaker. Okay, so in the show Peacemaker, Peacemaker's dad, who was a white supremacist, raises his son to be a thoughtless killer. Right? And in the show, they never get mad at his dad for raising a kid to be a murderer. They get mad at his dad for being racist, which is like, really?
Again, though, like Peacemaker's
they're both bad.
Is an example of what I was saying. Anti-hero. You can't just be an anti-hero that does badass things. Like, you have to be charming and witty. And that's what John Cena is with that character. Like, that's what Deadpool is. Like, you can't actually just have a anti-hero that just goes on a rampage unless there's some angle to it, right? Unless it's for a noble cause or he's being silly and funny and cute, right? Like, that doesn't, like, I'm trying to think of an example of truly just a rampage in a recent show or movie that was just that in itself.
I mean,
John Wick, I guess.
John Wick, yeah, I was immediately thinking.
Yeah, but those are bad. But those are still considered bad guys.
Well, it's like the only bad things that bad guys can do in cinema now, and I'm not saying these things aren't wrong, but it's grape and racism and hurting animals. That's the only thing that you can do. Maybe capitalism is also on that list.
Yes, businessmen are bad.
Businessmen, they're bad. So those things are what you're allowed to seek retribution for. Anything else, any level of betrayal, personal slights.
So think about, like we says, you and I are not the same. Why? Because you're racist. But and then what if the cop's like, okay, sure, I guess I'm that, but you kill people without due process. So
that's
are you
that's
any better?
not, in their moral compass, that doesn't carry anything.
And the sad fact of the matter is, normie people don't understand this weird obsession you have with this. They just see the logo. They think he's that the logo is cool. At most,
I doubt they know what the Punisher is.
And they don't realize that a lot of this is because Jerry Conway, the creator of the character, had come out and said that he doesn't like the fact that cops in the military adopt the logo. This was the quote that I thought was funny. It says, "It certainly makes a great emotional release when they talk about cops who identify with Frank Castle because he's a traumatized veteran." Like I said, I bet you half those cops don't even know that the Punisher's name is Frank Castle. It says, "But the trouble begins when cops love the symbol and essentially adopt the ideology of the character in their real life and line of work."
Imagine thinking people
they don't have the time of day for
pay this much attention to what you're creating. That's like an inflated sense of your own creation's relevance to the culture.
Exactly.
The logo is what has relevance to the culture, not the story behind it.
It's kind of
which
like,
actually, if you're thinking about making a profit, is what's important. Making something that's marketable, even divorced from the source material. Unfortunately, that's how you make money that can support more creativity in comics. Selling things with a logo on it that people don't know what it means or what it's from, that's how you support that industry.
You know that the character of, I'm going to get back to the point here real quick. You know the character, have you ever seen the bumper stickers? It's Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes peeing on something, and you can just insert anything.
It's usually a football logo.
It's some type of logo,
Okay.
and it's but those were never actually legally made because Bill Watterson, who created those comics, created the Calvin and Hobbes comics, never allowed any of that to be licensed. He wouldn't even allow them to make Hobbes plushies to be made because he thought it destroyed the creativity of the character. The other thing about this is that my main issue with it is it's fine when people want to have these arguments in the comic circle. I get it. Like, I think it's stupid and I think they're wrong, but it's inside baseball and that makes sense.
Right.
Making it part of the regular story. Go for it.
Old Warrior 34.
Yeah.
That says, even in comics, they're trying to rebrand the Punisher into a samurai by changing his logo and making him
Leader of the
use
Hand.
only swords.
Yeah, they got rid of
characters.
No, that's it's got nothing to do with that. They did this they wanted to distance themselves from the self-understood stigma around the Punisher that's not actually there, but it's in their paranoid brains that there's a stigma there.
Well, there are
What they
like
did is-
two people on Twitter that have brought it up to them. And so they think it's a huge problem.
What they did is that they changed the logo. They gave him swords, and if I remember correctly, they made him the leader of the Hand. And then him and Daredevil both took the Hand is a ninja organization within that part of the Marvel universe. It's stupid. All of it's stupid. But the biggest problem I have with it is that it doesn't make sense. You're taking a serious storyline and a serious character that does serious things, and you're making it a weird type of meta that I don't like. The story is serious enough and should have enough gravitas that it doesn't need some type of lame meta hook to get people involved.
To get people who hate cops to hog at the screen when they see this scene. I don't even know if it's real because it's just some like random gossip account that reported it. But
Daredevil's forgettable to me anyway. Good. I'm glad they're doing this they can just end the series.
And here's the thing, guys. Somebody mentions Punisher and Batman. I said, you don't ever see cops with a sticker of Batman. He's a vigilante.
You know what they do? I like the Decepticon logo. That's pretty cool, though. You'll see that. But then again, the cops were Decepticons in the Transformers movies.
Yes, they were. Yeah, they were. That's funny. I forgot about that. Yeah. And they even had remember when they suddenly could become humans too in the Transformers 2, which made no sense. I loved it. Here's the thing, guys. If you don't remember Netflix Daredevil, don't watch the show when it comes up. There's one there from Because Reasons.
Because Reasons said, what about defunded cops who are told not to enforce many laws or defend the Constitution that have to become said anti-hero? Can they wear the logo?
I would.
I don't know what that entails.
I would ask them to, if they're being told to enforce unjust laws and to not follow the Constitution, to leave the profession.
Yeah.
I think everyone in this conversation, involved in this conversation, is cringe. Like the people who are triggered when they see the Punisher logo on the back of somebody's car, they're cringe. And the people who put that sticker on the back of their car with a thin blue line on
that
it
is the worst.
Are just as cringe because you're using the creation of literally Disney, like the biggest entertainment mega corporation there is.
That logo
to represent
before
what?
That logo existed before it was a Disney property. So that's
well, sure, but. Now we're looking at it because Daredevil Reborn is happening and now it's a Disney property, but you're using a Disney logo to represent your opposition to the system or something. It doesn't make sense on either side of the issue.
There's one from George Ware right there.
George Ware said, as a cop, I wear a Frank Castle logo. Can you milk me? Falker?
I'll ask you this. When you...
Falker.
Kellen's face right now is fantastic.
You get the reference.
I gotta watch that movie again now.
Wearing the logo, do you wear it because you like the logo or because you subscribe to Punisher's ideology? And for the other cops that you know,
does he have an ideology?
I mean, his story has changed from the comics to the television series. They make him much more sympathetic in the television series. But I would ask George Ware, do the other cops who have that logo on something, if you do know any of them, are they Punisher fans or do they just like the logo? And I do want to point out before we move on, guys, go back and just watch Daredevil season 2 and the first season of The Punisher. Do not watch this garbage that's coming out with Daredevil Born Again. And in particular, when I talk about a serious show, I'm talking about two things in particular. There is the scene on the roof in which Daredevil and Punisher go back and forth about their methodological approach to fighting crime. Daredevil's being, there's always going to be the opportunity for redemption. Anybody can be redeemed. You can't just, off them because they're bad people, right? You have to give them, and that speaks to the roots of his Catholic beliefs. Punisher says they're scum, they need to be removed from the equation, and he's dealing with the grief and loss of his wife and children.
Right.
So it's understandable from both. That scene, there's more serious behavior and conversation in that scene than any Disney movie in the last 20 years. And then also the scene when Punisher, when Frank Castle and Daredevil are at the graves of Frank's wife and kids, and he talks about coming home from war, how the horrors of war pale in comparison to the joy and the beauty of seeing your child again for the first time, and then to have all of that snatched away from you so quickly, which informs his motives after being caught. Just go watch that instead. It's better. It's far better.
I want to know why they canceled Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and the Punisher series, and I think Daredevil, the original, right? That was part of that group.
Yes.
And I don't know why. Like, Jessica Jones was loved. She was a badass. It was a great few seasons. Luke Cage was cool.
The first season of Jessica Jones was really good. George Ware did respond. He said, "We wear the logo as a reminder that sometimes it's about doing the right thing, not just the law." Okay, that's a fair enough explanation. But I would like to know what percentage of them use that logo, or understand what that means
in a thoughtful way. I feel like ascribing any ideology to the Punisher logo doesn't make sense.
Right. And here's an idea, how about police departments just come up with their own cool logos? Come on.
I thought they had those already.
They have badges, like a seal.
They have a badge.
But, they have individual seals and stuff. That's probably not the right word. But yeah, I mean, why doesn't a police department actually hire a graphic artist and make an awesome logo? Don't give anyone a reason to use Disney stuff.
Yep.
All
right.
I sent you a cringe of the day.
Oh, okay. Hold on one sec. Let me
I thought that stuff was cringe of the day.
No. I
it's cringe. But
I could have that. I could have that discussion about that topic that we just did over and over. Here we go.
This is Travis Scott trying to get recognized in the streets of Tokyo. He's literally running around waiting for somebody to ask him for a picture.
Are we supposed to just forget that he serenaded a person who passed away at his concert?
He did?
You don't remember that video?
He's like, what if somebody was like, hey, aren't you the guy from Astroworld?
Yeah, Astroworld.
Oh, are you that guy that killed his fans?
Yeah,
and he's just staring at a guy being taken out on the stretcher. He's like,
Really?
Yes, it's weird.
He's weird.
Can you send that video to me? I've never seen that.
Oh
It's
my goodness.
Weird.
If I find it,
All right.
I'm looking.
All right, guys, we're going to get started here. Again, before we get started, hit the like button on this video, subscribe to this channel, turn the notification bell on so you get notified anytime one of our videos goes live. All right, guys, if you love the original Little Mermaid and you remember the song Kiss the Girl, you are in for a rude awakening for the new movie because nothing can be left alone, and Disney wants to infantilize an entire generation of people because now they need you to understand that Kiss the Girl, kind of like if you remember when they did the rebrand on Cinderella, you can't kiss the girl without consent. Right, Mary?
I know everyone agrees that gender dynamics are in such a better place in 2023 compared to 1989. We're totally better off for all of these modern changes, aren't we? Aren't we, Brett?
We are so much better off.
Everyone agrees
Yes.
that women are just in so much a better place than they were in the late 80s, right? So these songs, Kiss the Girl and Poor Unfortunate Souls, are the ones that were subject to change for modern audiences.
Updated for modern audiences.
And this was revealed in an interview with Alan Menken, who is the composer for the film. He worked on the lyrics with Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is notoriously cringe. He said in a question to like, what from the original did you think needed to change? He said, there are lyrics in Kiss the Girl that got changed because people have gotten very sensitive about the idea that Prince Eric would in any way force himself on Ariel. We have some revisions in Poor Unfortunate Souls regarding lines that might make young girls somehow feel that they shouldn't speak out of turn, even though Ursula is clearly manipulating Ariel to give up her voice. So
Can't just be a bad guy anymore.
yeah. You want to read out what the original lyrics were?
I'll read it for Kiss the Girl first. It
Yeah.
says, yes, you want her. Look at her. You know you do. Possible she wants you to. There's one way to ask her. It don't take a word, not a single word. Go on and kiss the girl. We could play that clip. I don't know.
So
if that
now, in this situation, how does he get Ariel's verbal consent if she can't talk?
he's like,
Do you need a whiteboard?
yeah, well, he's like,
He hands her a marker?
a form,
Sign language.
like, or maybe he has that app that allows people to both explicitly consent to
write
sexual intercourse.
Yeah, a contract.
Yeah, like he has a lawyer.
I mean,
draw
we're
it
not
up
even
before him.
talking about intercourse right now.
Yeah.
It's just all he has to do is kiss her. I would love to find out what women really think about men asking for permission to kiss them, because I would bet most of the time they don't like it.
Can I kiss you, please?
Yeah.
Like, how did this enter the mainstream?
Me
That
too.
This is what.
Dear Screen
Yeah,
says
like-
consent.
That's 100% the reason.
But it's
you had,
even-
you
it's
had
even
young
before
men.
that.
You had young men that didn't truly understand the nuance of the world, seeing every man get Me Too'd, whether it was justified or not, and then the pendulum completely swings, and they're scared to even talk to women. Like,
I mean, we're just not acknowledging that nonverbal cues exist.
And now,
Yeah, no, that's a big part of it. It's like,
Are we
they
all
pretend-
autistic now when
Yes.
we don't know what
100%.
emotions look like?
yes, because of this. Yes,
It's because, first of all, it's because people are like experience most of their interactions with the opposite sex through their phones
Yep,
now.
that's what I was
So
gonna
they're
say.
not actually learning how to decode those cues of interest themselves. And second of all, beyond that, it's been penalized in a way that, look, we don't like ambiguity in society for these things now. You have to be very, very clear. Otherwise, you're liable to be told, like, later, like, oh, I clearly think of Aziz Ansari. He takes this girl, and she never says no, and he's supposed to just know that what she meant is I'm uncomfortable.
Well,
Yeah.
didn't they never even hook up?
They did.
Like, it was just awkward, and so she was like, #MeToo.
Yeah.
Mary, look at the COVID babies. Like they basically, even if they're a normal, healthy baby, because of the masks that every human was wearing, they're basically they have special needs. They're completely delayed. They're gonna have a tough time ahead of them because those crucial years was either spent looking at a person in a mask or with a tablet in their face.
The speech pathologists in 2020 were like, cha-ching.
Cha-ching.
Oh.
They're not going to see any words being spoken. Yeah. This is just like, this song is a fun, whimsical, just lighthearted song that isn't meant to talk about Prince Eric forcing himself on Ariel at all.
It just shows you how divorced we are from any type of whimsical society. We're not allowed to have whimsy anymore. You're not allowed to be romantic.
Romance is dead,
You're not
but
allowed
it's
to be
all
romantic.
men's fault, right?
Yes, it
like,
is.
why are we blaming men for the death of romance and chivalry when at the same time we're punishing them for every attempt at it?
It's hilarious because right now on TikTok, you are seeing this play out. You are seeing young women just record normal people at the gym, be like, "Oh my God, look at this creep," and he's like, not even doing anything. Like Joey Swole highlights this perfectly.
The lady in the lady was in the pool.
In the pool,
full makeup on.
and then you see these women like, where's my knight in shining armor? It's like, well, you just told him that he's a problem and to F off. So he's not coming, right? So it's hilarious that you're seeing this, and the people don't understand. They don't understand that like they're doing this to themselves.
And it's so obvious this is why the original Little Mermaid was so popular.
Yeah.
It resonates with the deepest desires that women have in their hearts. Their cold, dead hearts.
But
No,
they're
I'm
told
kidding.
not to embrace those desires anymore.
Yeah, and he's obviously framing this in this interview as, you know, people have gotten very sensitive about da-da-da, and these lines might make some girls feel somehow that da-da-da. So he clearly sees that it's ridiculous, but he's going along with it.
Because it's a corporate product.
He knows that this is ridiculous. He's saying it out loud.
It's corporations hedging their bets. So it has to be the safest, most watered down version of a product it can possibly be. There can be no risk taken because it's a Fortune 500 company making it.
Well, except when you're race swapping a character. That's a risk that we're perfectly allowed to take now.
To them, that's safe.
It's the only risk that we're allowed to take.
To them, that's
race
safe
swapping, gender swapping, ginger siding. Anything related to someone's surface level immutable traits, that you can change.
Everything
else is subject
art.
to change.
Everything
that's actually integral to the art.
Yeah, but you can't create new art like that. Like, see, that's the thing that upsets me. Like, if you want to tell some nuanced story, like, come up with your own story. Stop stealing someone else's work, because that's what you are. If you're a modern artist right now working for these companies, you are a thief. I don't care. I don't care if they own the intellectual property rights.
I was about to say, I don't know about that.
You are a thief. You are lazy. You are scum. And because you're creativeless. All right, that's not a word, but you are not creative.
Well,
you're just taking someone else's work, making one or two changes, and then parading it around as yours.
I think that happened in the first place when they made the Little Mermaid animated movie, because obviously this is adapted from a folktale that's much older than that even. And they sanitized that folktale into something that was palatable for people in the 1980s and the 90s. And that makes sense. Because we lived in a less mentally ill society in 1989 when the original Little Mermaid came out, that story was popular. Now, everyone is hyper self-aware, and we clearly don't have any concept of nonverbal cues. We don't have social awareness anymore. Right. To the point where a song like Kiss the Girl is about the R word? Like, in what way?
Dude, a lot of people wouldn't know
it's willful ignorance.
Actual struggle if it hit them in the face. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, but you got to realize, Mary, and this is like, I always have to check myself, because you have to realize these people truly think this is violence. People truly think like not asking for permission, like, oh my God, he would what? It's like they live in this bubble land.
And it's going to make every guy like desperate to deny their instincts. Like, he's like going to reach, he wants to give a girl a kiss. He's like, well, hold on, I got to check my form list here. Like, can I have permission to please inch closer to you? I will be in your personal space. Is this allowed? It denies that the human experience is not entirely vocal.
Well, yeah, it also denies that women have any desires that they do not vocally express, which is insane to say about any human being. And it just kind of makes women sound like soulless automatons that just robotically voice all of their desires at all times. Like, give me food, give me water. Like, I don't know what planet these people live on, but I don't want to live in this reality.
They don't live on a planet. That's just it. And the majority of their day, like their waking moments, are spent in the digital world. It's not a real place.
I wish that young men today knew that just because, you know, the updated modern version of The Little Mermaid and every other fairy tale out there is made to, you know, be feminist, and that the men are always on the sidelines, and the female protagonists are always the girl bosses who don't need them but maybe want them sometimes. I wish that those young men knew that they don't have to ask for permission to be men.
No, seriously.
And to take a stand and to make a move.
If there's any young guys listening right now, like, be the knight in shining armor, because you're going to clean up. You are going to clean up. I don't care what your peers are telling you. I don't care what you hear on the news, or you know what adaptation, what new movies are doing. Like, I'm telling you, be the knight in the shining armor. Keep chivalry alive, and you're going to do well. Like,
and obviously, if a woman says that she's not interested, back off.
Exactly. But that shouldn't need saying either.
Like, that's normal human interaction.
Yeah.
We already knew that.
It reminds me of what I was talking about the other day with the Ava Max song, and how they made it about bodily autonomy when the original song had nothing to do with that.
If anything, arguably, the original song by Aqua was affirming Barbie's bodily autonomy, because she was like, you can touch me there.
If you
Okay,
want. Yeah.
she was giving the permission in that statement, so why does she have to say no in the new updated version?
Because everyone needs to be miserable and
Everyone needs to-
narcissistic and alone.
He needs to be a prude now. And that's what real prudishness is. Me Too is the prude movement.
It's funny, America, I never used to believe that, but America is very much more prudish and conservative
Puritanical.
and puritanical than a lot of other countries.
Have you seen the new picture of Michael Cera from the Barbie movie?
Yeah.
So I saw one of the comments was like, the hottest person, like the hottest woman you know is gonna ask like how to get a guy like this. I was like, it's funny. I get the joke, but I'm like, you're kind of right. You're kind of right. There's this weird like.
Yeah, because there's a possibility he owns a tech company.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, the Zuckerberg.
Or he's funny.
That's cap.
No, I mean, look at all these women dating Pete Davidson. Like, they think he's funny.
He's rich.
Okay, you've never known a girl that dates a loser because he has Riz
Pete
before.
Davidson also kind of
Everyone
like,
knows that girl.
This is also funny because okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say he kind of who was the guy that used to date was it Britney Spears?
Kevin Federline?
Yeah, he's modern day Kevin Federline. He doesn't care. He dresses like he doesn't care. He's got a bunch of tattoos and he says what he wants. Like
it's funny.
That's why he's successful.
I was just last night on Instagram. I made a post about in the show Bones. Angela and Hodgins are dating, and Angela's taller than Hodgins, which is always funny in the show. Kind of it never gets really pointed out, but you can always tell. And he always has this feeling of being seemingly inadequate because Angela is played by Michaela Coughlin, who's gorgeous, right? And it's really funny because her ex-husband comes back into the picture, and this private investigator is trying to throw her ex-husband at her, and she's like, I want a divorce, and Hodgins is there looking completely dejected, oh my god, I'm so glad she chose me. The character's a billionaire. She's gonna pick you either way, dude. I don't care what she says. If anything was a fantasy in that time period, it's that these people just, I'm actually gonna get married for love and not because this guy. I posted this when I was talking about Cordelia the other day when she says, maybe I should prostitute myself to David Nabbit because I need security and he needs and he wants to get married. And it's she was brutally honest about some aspects of the human condition in a way they would never be honest about today.
Have you heard about the kind of the grass is greener issue that's kind of affecting modern dating culture? I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
What?
So social media basically right now, people are always looking for more. Right, social media has allowed that window to open where, okay, your significant other, your boyfriend, husband, whatever, he's making $100,000 a year, but there's that guy, he's making 125, and it's like that for Tinder. It's okay, you matched with a beautiful woman, but there's someone even more beautiful out there. Yeah. And it's like women are going out on
social
dates.
Media and dating apps has made it a lot harder for a lot of people. Yeah. Like guys used to just have to compete with the other guys in their town. Yeah. Maybe the guys you were at college with. Now it's this girl's oh, you're kind of cute, but then she looks at her phone and there's just tons of Chad dudes making tons of money who are just fine dating a 22-year-old woman.
It's one thing to acknowledge that this is going on and this is a problem, but it's messes with your mind at a deep level that it's hard to kind of escape that, I told you guys before we started the show, I'm I gotta taking a break from Twitter. It's just been a whole black pill, and I don't care about the people on the internet right now. I want to care about the people that I actually see on a day-to-day basis, real human interaction, and I need a break from it, and I wish more people would preach that, but they don't.
That's why they watch movies like The Little Mermaid. It's
to
escaping and thinking about a situation in which two people organically meet each other face to face and have a connection. Isn't that crazy?
Right.
It's something wild to think about.
It is funny. Another great thing about watching old movies and television is seeing the way views have changed on online dating. They're oh, these crazy people who met online on their phones.
Or online friends too. That's a thing too.
But the problem is it's I don't like to be too harsh on the whole online dating thing because tell me where the alternative is.
No, you shouldn't.
Where are the public spaces for young people to go and hang out, There's
a difference between saying online dating as in you use the internet to find someone to talk to in person versus using the internet to just endlessly farm attention
I
from
see what you're
people and like be in endless talking stages purely over social media with strangers.
Right.
That's not even dating, but some people would call it like e-dating.
Yeah.
Like the mall, like malls in America, that used to be the spot where young people went and hung out, maybe did
Or got
shopping, maybe you got food.
No, we were just like, was
They're dead,
somebody
though. They're gone.
somebody reposted a video the other day. It was like a mixture of old Gillette ads and like handy like camcorder footage of girls at malls, and it was the quote, "The world you were born into no longer exists." And it's like they go to the mall and all the girls, they're like, "Why are you here at the mall?" They're like, shopping into like Scope for boys. And like all the girls said to meet boys. Like every single one, and it was like dozens of friends.
They would never say that today. Oh, we're here for ourselves.
Yes,
we're here for our own empowerment.
Yeah. So it's like the world you were born into.
At least I would be like, well, I'm sad, so I want to buy something so I can feel better.
honestly, retail therapy might be
honest with yourself and like take accountability for your own desires.
Well,
there is nothing that Me Too taught us as a society that we didn't already know,
and nothing that the Little Mermaid is going to help with its new songs.
Well, I'll tell you what the actual excuse is people watching. They're going to people
watching.
watching. It's like, bro, you're going to
it.
see if there's someone you want to talk to. Like, yes, looking at the crazy people's fun too, but don't act like there's not a type. There's someone in your mind you're hoping to see here.
Sure.
There's some kind of goal you have. You're not just sitting in.
Now for the
trying to find my happiness at the bottom of a bottle of perfume and
in the food court. The only blitz I go when I'm sad, I go get Sbarro pizza at the mall because
I miss
pizza
Sbarro.
sauce all over your mouth. And you're just sitting there.
Okay, before we move on, I just wanted y'all's takes on the song "Poor Unfortunate Souls." They said the lyric they might have been referring to is, "Come on, they're not all that impressed with conversation. True gentlemen avoid it when they can, but they dote and swoon and fawn on a lady who's withdrawn. It's she who holds her tongue who gets a man." Is this misogynistic in your evaluation?
No, because in the song, if it is, it's supposed to be because she's the bad guy. Because Ursula's the bad guy trying to silence her through like a weird type of psychology.
So Ursula's a misogynist?
I mean, I think
technically.
Do guys just guys are like maybe they're just like, I love women. I just don't like when they talk so much.
I mean, like, and this might be a little misogynistic, but I think people are looking too much into it. Because it's like this isn't like a true rule. There's gonna be women that are the life of the party, and that's sometimes that's attractive, right? You're like, oh wow, look how much energy she has. And there's other women that like you're tired, so you want to find someone who's also kind of just laid back, like, hey.
When was the last time that you had a positive experience meeting a stranger in like a bar or something like that? If ever.
If ever.
I'm saying you guys are younger than me, so I have more of that.
A stranger as in someone to date or just in general?
I mean, maybe just in general. Dating. I mean, the better question would be dating, but you guys are both pretty young, so I don't know if ever meeting someone at a bar happened.
Yeah, this year.
This year?
Yeah, I've met some cool people out and about. This year, one I think it was a Halloween, and then the other place was just a place I regularly frequent, which is like they've got really good food, so it's like I go there, grab a bite, and it's like you're gonna talk to it's usually the bartenders, not people that are actually there.
Really, at the end of the day, Lin-Manuel Miranda is just like heading off the potential problems that might sort of come about if someone like Anita Sarkeesian got bored one day and decided to write an article about all this.
Yeah, they'll come up with something else. He really needs to atone for creating Hamilton stands.
And to be honest, I don't know if like when he says we saw these problems, I don't think he saw anything.
Someone pointed it out to you.
I think Disney Legal said, look, there could be some issues here that we need to address.
Well, and like what we're seeing is the modern version of the TOS that you'll sign with every app. It is so long and there's so much to it because they want to cover their butts for every
sweeping generalizations that anything can be grouped into them.
Exactly. So we're just seeing the equivalent of that on the big screen now because they don't want to offend anybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
No tax, good tax said taxation is theft. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
Yes, that is correct.
It is like meta quoting.
And the funny thing is, do you know that Wayne Gretzky got in trouble for like gambling, right? If I remember correctly, Wayne Gretzky got in trouble for sports gambling. Could be wrong.
So did Calvin Ridley, who got suspended all of last year.
You should be
for
allowed
betting on a game.
If you are a pro athlete, you should be allowed to bet on yourself. As far as I'm concerned, if politicians can buy stocks, then pro athletes should be able to bet on their own success. They shouldn't be allowed to pick against their own success because you can fail to win the bet. Obviously, point shaving is a thing. But if you wanna bet $1 million that you're gonna win,
they can't short the other.
I guarantee it's
person.
happening.
Well,
Brett.
they don't allow them to do it at all. Like, you're not allowed to be a pro athlete and bet on.
Brett, if I was a famous athlete, here's what I would do. I'd call you on the phone, be like, yo, bet against this game. I'm just gonna totally throw it.
I'm just
and
saying
make us both rich.
Legally, they should be allowed to, so that Pete Rose can be in the damn Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Do it.
Because Reasons said, breaking rumor, Brett, Disney to sell Lucasfilm according to Overlord DVD and Cameron Pasha, who have insiders and usually reliant.
This better be true.
That would be, I mean, I would be interested to know who they're going to sell it to.
Who's interested
HBO,
anymore? They've
maybe.
ruined it.
HBO might be able to be someone who could, I don't even know who owns HBO, but.
HBO's owned by Warner Brothers.
Okay, so maybe,
So David Zaslav wants to buy Lucasfilm.
I don't know.
I don't think they would do that. I don't know.
Have
I don't know.
they
I don't
gone
think
too
they've got
far
the. I don't think they've got the money to do that.
It's kind of like cat's out of the bag, right? Yeah. OJ for me sent $5 without a message.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nero Garcia said Cast Castle Jackass movie when?
The taxes or the insurance on that would be high.
Dude, I can't even imagine. That's where the cost comes in those kinds of movies. Like Wipeout probably failed as a show because of how high the insurance was for each contestant. You know.
Olivia Claire said, "Hi, Mary, Brett, and Kellen. Hope you're having a lovely day. Just want to say I appreciate the work all of you are doing. Keep it up."
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tattooed Cash said, I suggest checking out the epically latered episode about Bam Margera. Ape explains how his addiction to alcohol started when he was spending so much time with Bill Fallow of him.
Oh, of the band. Okay. I'll have to check that out. It's a sad thing to see. Let's hold off on the rest and we will come back.
Okay.
All right, we're moving on, guys. Lizzo is back in the news. Aren't you excited about that, Mary?
Yeah. Lizzo was in the recent episode of The Mandalorian, and I just felt like I needed to commiserate with you guys that this happened. She essentially played the matriarch of a communist utopia where they force droids to do all of their work. And I don't think that makes sense even in context, since other societies have droids and don't make droids do all of their work, just some of it. But they have to like go on this side quest where Lizzo tells them to go like kill these rogue droids that are killing people, and then they come back and they essentially get key to the planet that was invented solely for the Mandalorian series, to my understanding. Jack Black played her husband. Christopher Lloyd also was in this episode in a cameo. They're just throwing cameos at the wall to see what sticks.
Yeah, there have been a bunch of
because they
Mandalorian
know
cameos.
the content sucks.
It's just like She-Hulk bringing on Megan Thee Stallion. It's just like even the CMT Awards bringing on Megan Thee Stallion. We're just going to get as many celebrity appearances as possible so that someone will make a meme out of it.
Maybe we can get Megan Thee Stallion in here.
What was the best?
I would let her.
Incredibly easy to book Megan Thee Stallion these days, I guess.
She can twerk on this table if she wants.
You know what was great? She was at a baseball game and she threw the first pitch. That was entertaining.
Yeah.
That was
enjoyed
entertaining.
That.
Yeah, I liked also when Paris Hilton did the same thing back in the day.
But
the She-Hulk thing, definitely, I could have done without that in my life.
You're not helping anybody. You're not. But let's get on to the Mandalorian because the She-Hulk. I saw this by accident this morning. Not the whole episode, just this clip. Yeah,
you just fell on your remote, and then
the clip was on Twitter.
Yeah, the clip was on Twitter. It made the rounds, and I honestly thought this was fan fiction. I refused to believe that this actually came out of an episode of Star Wars. I'm like, what is this? This is cheesy. It makes no sense. There's no flow.
She was there for getting on like Twitter trending, essentially.
I guess,
there's no reason for her to
then.
make the cameo or for any of these cameos to happen. I think that they're severely misjudging what is culturally impactful if they think Lizzo is like what's hot right now.
Well,
like old people would think that Lizzo is like, you know, the sorry, but the biggest name in pop culture right now.
She's definitely overshadowing the other actors.
She's definitely overshadowing Pedro Pascal in this episode.
So here's what it is with Lizzo, though. I think what you said was 100% true. It's gonna garner clicks because it's Lizzo. You know, we're gonna talk later about Donald Glover, and Tina Fey said he's a diversity hire. Well, that's what Lizzo is, except
Actually,
it's for her size. Dude, she is the biggest star in her room. In every room.
I will actually push back on that because whether you like it or not, she's still popular. We can make fun of why she's popular.
Do you think she'd be as popular if she was skinny?
No, but that doesn't make this a diversity hire. This means that she's good at what she's been hired to do, which is to be an advocate for body positive. To be an advocate for
that's
body
the diversity, though. Most people aren't as big as she is.
Thank you.
We could have had.
I like the Christ. I like when is that Carter?
Yeah.
Singing. I like that part.
Look, she I still think her name carries value. To a lot of people, you know who she is. Yes, you know why, but a lot of people also point out that she's also considered a talented musician. She's just a talented musician who has a gimmick. And
that's the thing. Why do you have to have a gimmick or some token trait that makes you marketable from a DEI, ESG perspective? And why can your talent not carry you to the top anymore? Why is that not enough? It is either that or nepotism that gets you to the top now.
The market is too
It's never
saturated.
talent.
Exactly.
I mean,
she's a good singer, and you know she's good at playing the flute, and I'm sure she'd be better at dancing if she lost some
I'd love
weight,
to see more of the flute, honestly. I would like to see more of that.
Yet her talent is not enough to make her who she is.
Whose is these days? Like almost everybody has some type of hook to their stardom.
That's what I'm saying. That's disheartening that talent isn't what our culture celebrates. It's your surface level, cheap, immutable traits that have nothing to do with you.
You literally have to be part of so much media now that you need some type of hook. Like, right. Okay, so she's a good singer, I guess. I don't really think anything special of her music.
And even then, it has nothing to do with her being on the Mandalorian. Has nothing to do with
that's
singing.
my issue. Is like, okay, I will admit there's a couple songs that were radio hits, and I'll bop my head along when they come on. But I don't need to see her in Star Wars. How does 1 + 1 = 3?
Corporate synergy. You have to cross promote.
Like, what genuine Star Wars fans were watching this and like,
thank goodness Lizzo's here.
Like, Lizzo, my favorite pop star on my favorite Disney
the Star
show?
Wars fans that had an opinion worth anything,
how
stop
in
watching.
deep do you have to be in the wokeness to celebrate this and like think that this is a good thing?
Like,
any genuine Star Wars fan is watching this knowing that this is not canon. This is not actually Star Wars. This is some cheap imitation of it.
I don't.
Get George Lucas.
There was a cameo from Sasha Banks that like I try to be fair, right? Like if I don't care that Sasha Banks is on there, I don't care if Lizzo's on there. I do think that right now there's so much media being produced, and you have to be in the public eye so much more than you used to have to be back in the day. When you were a musician back in the day, you did your concerts, you did your press tours, and that was really it. You need a constant social presence now, and that requires some type of hook to keep people interested.
I don't want the cameos for the same reason I don't want them to keep doing reboots. Like having a cameo is basically like, we couldn't find a new actor that was worth anything, so let's just go pay a bunch of money for a name people know. It's like, dude, that's lazy.
Whatever.
It is lazy.
I want to address whatever in the chat says Three Ninjas was a good movie. Rob Schneider was in it, if I'm remembering correctly. I believe you're thinking of Surf Ninjas, which is also a masterpiece, just like Three Ninjas. Back on topic.
Well, anyway, Lizzo's cameo is entirely irrelevant to another war that is being waged against her right now. She's in a shape war. There's some.
It's a big battle going on.
Oh,
there's a simile in there somewhere. I don't know. So she has this brand collab with Fabletics called Yiddy. I don't know what Yiddy
It's a horrible
means.
name.
It is a horrible name. Brett, I sent you the launch that she just did for a collection called Your Skin, And it's essentially just binders and tucking underwear for trans people.
The person looks like a fish.
That picture?
Yeah. It's
I don't know if we can even show that on YouTube, but
well, it's not nudity, but yeah. So here's what the launch said. When we say we support everybody, we mean it. Or everybody. We believe in radical self-love for people of all gender identities, including trans, non-binary, gender fluid, and gender non-conforming communities that have been chronically undeserved. So
Underserved?
Underserved. Sorry. So we decided to take our expertise and create styles that serve those communities. And they basically said, we're releasing a binder top, we're releasing a tucking thong. And I find it really ironic that radical self-love, what it looks like when it's applied in the real world, is hiding aspects of yourself that you hate.
I was just going to say, there's
That's
no such
what
thing.
radical self-love is.
It's not a real thing. It's just lying, right? Yeah, because you're too
You don't
lazy.
love it, you're changing it.
You're too lazy
hiding
to
it.
eat better or get off the couch. So you're just going to use a whatever those.
You're gonna use
things.
a shapewear bodysuit that sucks all of your fat into place, so you look a little less fat because you hate yourself for being fat, and then you call it radical self-love.
I'm just saying, like, first of all, like, if let's say there's someone who's using one of those garments, as soon as that garment came off, I would be offended. I'd be like, what the hell? You're literally lying to me. It'd be like if you.
Imagine like a girl who goes on a date with a guy and he takes his shoes off and he's got like lifts in there.
Yeah.
And she's like, what the? It's
embarrassing in both contexts.
It's that meme of have you ever seen that video where it's like girls they put like a tape measure up on their door. It's like getting the heights of all the men we meet from Hinge who say they're over 6 feet, and then a guy just puts a scale in front of his front door.
So anyway, this collection is now facing criticism because a smaller brand called Your Body
It's definitely smaller.
They stole their ideas, their merchandise, and didn't partner with them, and now they feel like the making profit off of this collection has been stolen from them.
Uh-oh.
So here's what they said in their own posts. They said, at Lizzo, we heard about the launch of your new line of gender-affirming shapewear, Your Skin, and we wish we could have celebrated with our community. Instead, we're left asking questions, and as an advocate for inclusivity, there are questions that we think you'll have too. This is so like smacking the baseball bat against your palm and saying, wouldn't it be a shame if we tattered the reputation of your brand?
Because
and
it's the woke Olympics, and there can only be one that wins the gold medal.
Right.
Unless you're talking to Jill Biden, where she wants the winner and the loser
in
to
the
get
name
rewarded.
of inclusivity,
like that's what it is.
We have to be the exclusive winners.
Well, that's what it is. There's the only thing going for it is we're different, and we're the ones that care about people. Like that's like all this, like when we talk about the trans movement right now, or we're talking about this body positivity, it is a capitalist lie. They don't actually care about humans. They don't care about people. They want money. And that's why this guy, instead of being like, awesome, we're doing that too. No, he's like, oh, you guys, like you said, baseball bat smacking against the hand, like, because it's about money. They know Lizzo's taking away money from their company, and they don't care about actually their customers they're helping. They don't care about that.
To be fair, I don't really care if companies care about me most of the time, as long as they make a good product.
Right.
And I'd rather they not pretend that they did.
Well, from Yitty, they're saying this is our gender-affirming shapewear line, and this is activism because it's for underserved communities or whatever. And they're pretending that they don't want money. They don't want profit, even though it's Fabletics, a giant corporation of activewear and shapewear. And then their competitor, this smaller competitor of theirs, is saying, wow, I guess you're just in it for money. We're actually the ones who are serving the underserved communities. We're the true activitors.
Technically, Lizzo is
true advocates.
Technically, Lizzo wins just by having a wider reach.
Wider.
No, I didn't actually mean like I'm saying like she reaches more people, therefore she's actually serving more people.
Right, exactly. But here's the timeline of what happened to show like why they're making this complaint. It turns out that Lizzo's brand reached out to get samples of their stuff a couple of times last year as research and development for this shapewear line that they just put out. So instead of partnering with their smaller competitor, they just bought products from their smaller competitor and made imitation products of the same thing, probably at a higher profit
like
margin.
Everyone else does.
Like every other business
Clothing brand
in this country or on the globe will do.
I'm wearing an Under Armour shirt today. They were one of the first companies to like come out with that like plasticky, elastic, like athletic wear. Walmart has their own brand. Target has their own brand. Everyone does it now. And you don't see Under Armour getting upset.
Right, like you didn't, to the smaller competitor, I would say, like, you didn't invent the garments that you made. Those things existed already, and if another brand thinks they can do it better, then that's what they're going to do.
It's like when you go to the...
I just hate that both parties are doing this in the name of, radical self-love and inclusivity and diversity and being yourself, when it's completely about profit and about self-hatred.
I mean, I kind of love all of this that's happening right now because... keep lying to yourselves, keep lying to your customers, because I keep seeing the videos of you guys being so hopeless and like, why am I still sad and depressed?
Why are other people not affirming me?
Dude, this is temporary. It's like you said, retail therapy. Does that, if you actually were sad and went out and bought something, how long does that happiness last?
Temporary.
It's temporary. Right. And that's what this is. That's what this is. You are not going to get slim just because you bought a garment.
And the good
people are not going
feeling-
to look at you differently.
The good feeling you might get from a brand on Instagram telling you that you're worthy and that you should love yourself.
I like positive messages. Just don't lie. Don't lie to yourself.
That happiness that you get from being affirmed by a
should
mega
love
corporation
yourself.
is not going to last.
You
either.
should love yourself enough to want to be better, to get better. I mean,
Well, it's
I feel
like-
that way all the time. Like that, I need to be like when I take time off of skating. I care enough about myself to know that I can't be sedentary for long periods of time because first of all, it affects my sleep. I don't sleep as well. And I already sleep bad, but I sleep better when I skate on a regular basis. I feel better as a person. And I don't need somebody lying to me and saying, you don't need to be physically active. You're fine just the way you are.
Well, there's obvious contradictions here. So if you are morbidly obese, because, Lizzo is morbidly obese, then that is not an ailment. It's something that you have to accept about yourself, love yourself for it, empower yourself in it. And if you were born with a certain set of genitalia that you feel uncomfortable with, hide it, get surgery to remove it or invert it, in any way possible, cosmetically remove this appendage from your body. That in itself, your genitalia is not an ailment. Obesity is a medical ailment.
Yeah.
We're completely talking about this backwards, where they're like selling products to you on the basis that you should get rid of these things about yourself that you don't like in the name of radical self-love. Both of these companies are lying to their base.
I hate the idea of radical self-love more than just because I feel like it's actually anti-human because the human condition is the desire to strive and grow, do more, be better. You can't, like, how often, like, when you really think about it, I even have this argument with people when you're talking politics and culture and all these things. A lot of people are just doing things because you need a purpose in life.
Right.
You need something to work towards. And whether that's your job, whether that's putting forth a message on social media, whether that's making videos on YouTube or anything, it's just a fact that it is not natural for a human being to just sit around and do nothing.
Well,
And you need a purpose. And a lot of times that goes hand in hand with needing to be physically active, needing to take care of what you look like, what you feel like on the inside and the outside.
we've completely stigmatized bullying, and I'm not advocating for people to go and start hazing. Like you see all the stories, the tragic stories of college hazing that goes too far. I'm not saying that, but when you walk out of your house and you look ridiculous because you're wearing a tutu and a tuxedo top and you've got pink hair and you're 300 pounds overweight and you get weird looks, like that's society telling you that you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, it's funny how when incels are rejected by society, they're told to change, but then this other camp of people who are rejected by society are told that society has to accept them. What's the fundamental difference?
One's a
Both
guy.
of these parties, well, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, well,
Yep.
depending on their identity, I don't know if they identify as a guy. And
It's very hard to keep up with the rules.
it's very hard to keep up with the rules. But like in both cases, these people should be told the same thing.
Yeah.
Take accountability for yourself and yourself only.
Make kids
Don't
turn sports
expect
again.
mega corporations to emotionally cater to your needs.
Especially if you're going to put like resist in your profile name and then you're like, I'm part of the resistance as every Fortune
And I fund
500.
Resist
Fabletics at the
working
same
out.
time. And I
Resist
fund
working
Disney
out.
at the same time as being, you know, a resistor of the powers that be. I saw one response to this that I feel like the resounding response to this whole controversy was heartening because people are finally starting to see through the fakery of, you know, companies selling you a product of self-love and diversity and tokenizing people. This one response really encouraged me. It had like thousands of likes on Instagram. They said, this is such a non-story, a kind of emotional reactionism born from narcissism, not the desire for people to be seen and represented. You don't need to be the center of everything to be visible. There was good faith reaching out, and you are not saved from capitalism just because you have a marginalized identity. This smells like pettiness masquerading as social consciousness, and I wish people understood the difference.
None of them actually know what capitalism is. That's my favorite part. Is they none of them understood the.
Well, it seems like they love capitalism more than anybody. They
$20
love when companies sell them products.
Yes.
Because Reasons said, we need more comedic movies, pure comedies that push it so far to the edge. Yes, people get offended, but over time we'll become less offended. Kind of like desensitizing, we should be more offensive.
Yeah, that was my take on editing books to make them less offensive. I was like, I want authors who are alive to go back to books they've already written and write them to be more offensive rather than
I don't
less.
think we need to aim to be offensive, just aim to be funny, and you will, by a natural result, end up offending some people.
To this point, isn't that exactly what this clothing company is doing? Isn't that exactly what the trans movement is doing? Be so out there, the more normal stuff, people are just like, oh, okay.
No, because they don't think of it as out there. They think of you as the problem.
But isn't it, the
They
result
also
is the
think-
same,
That's
though,
why
is
they
it
label
not?
you as cis rather than just calling you normal.
Right. That's
Yeah.
why they also think of all of this as a zero-sum game.
Yep.
So in this statement, they explicitly say, we think Yiddy has gotten a lot of things
What
right,
a
from
terrible
amplifying Lizzo's platform to prioritizing size inclusivity, which makes it all the more disappointing to see this opportunity undercut by our experience. We admire Lizzo, and she's been an advocate for inclusion, and we believe she'd be empathetic and aligned with us if she knew this backstory. We want to bring this matter to her attention, and more importantly, stand up for trans lives. It's a zero-sum game because only their brand gets to win out in this situation. If you didn't partner with them, if you didn't make sure they got to profit off of your product, then you're the bad guy. You're the villain.
I just imagine like the two like wokest people doing like one of those old cowboy showdowns, and they're like, "This town ain't big enough for both of
The
us."
woke
And it's like, there
are
can only
always
be
going
one.
to eat their own, and
like
they're going to
Highlander.
eat a lot, and they're just going to keep eating and eating and eating and eating.
Well,
and
when
eating.
it comes to the left eating their own, Lizzo's at the end of that cycle. She
It's
does,
just-
she
it's
does all the
literally-
eating.
Yeah, it's the human centipede. Wokeness is a human centipede, and I want nothing to do with it.
And the problem is like, let's
And
say
then-
on the off chance that Lizzo is healthy, imagine all the girls, the young women that are on TikTok watching her that are her size and not healthy.
Yeah.
Like there are like sumo wrestlers, gigantic people, but they're healthy. But it's
like
rare.
defensive linemen who
Rare.
are enormous, and you wouldn't be able to win them if you
You wouldn't be able
tried.
to outrun them in a race.
Nope, you wouldn't.
But like that is probably less than 1%. Oh, it's definitely less than 1% of the world's population. So it's like, you're normalizing something, and it's going to have disastrous consequences.
Well, I mean, it's just natural selection.
Be big, but yeah, lift
Capitalist
300 pounds
enforced
too.
woke capitalism enforced natural selection that will happen. I feel bad for him too, because the other thing about it is like, I love sports. I loved being active. I still do all the time. I skate 5 days a week. I get as much activity as I possibly can. And they shouldn't just do it like you can do it for your health, but you can also find lots of other things that make you happy in life other than just things on your phone and TV beyond just the physical health. The mental health ability benefits of getting away from a phone or a tablet
Seriously.
or a computer and getting out into the real world are incalculable.
Man, when is our next guided meditation with Ian? Because I'm overdue, man.
That was
I'm
a
overdue.
thing.
No, I want it to be a thing.
Did you see
though.
that,
I didn't know that this started.
jacket he was wearing on IRL?
Oh, dude, I think he's got one for every color.
It looks like a smoking jacket.
He's
Really
got a
cute.
green one. I've seen a red one. I've seen a purple one. I'm pretty sure there's a blue one.
Are they size inclusive? Where are they sold?
Yeah, for skinny people.
Actually, Ian's up so late because he actually creates his own clothing. All done
That's
by
actually what he
hand.
does at night. He's just sewing in his room.
Like a Rumpelstiltskin. He's just
passion.
going crazy.
That's good, man.
But yeah, speaking of size and inclusivity, Yitty it goes from extra small to 6XL.
Not extra small. That's bullshit.
There's no extra small.
You know, we should come up with our own inclusive clothing line, except we'll just make them really offensive size names like enormous, out of this world,
Free Willy, and then the next one up's Free Willy too.
Yeah.
The small ones can be insulting too.
yeah, shrimp,
Puny.
popcorn.
Stick figure, or it's just a drawing of a stick figure. Hangman. Yeah.
Hangman.
I want to ask ChatGPT. This is so like not related to anything, but I want to ask ChatGPT or like one of the AI that can do the art to make like a 3D like realistic version of a stick figure, just to see what it would come up
Wonder what
with.
we come up with.
Yeah,
Look,
like Flat Stanley or something.
the other thing that's funny about this is it really ignores the fact that, like you were talking about earlier with clothing brands and the ability for like other companies to do it better. I always make this joke that my favorite popcorn brand was a generic from, do they have CVS out here? I don't know if they have CVS.
Yeah.
Okay, CVS brand popcorn, way better than Orville Redenbacher's or any other type
Really?
of popcorn I've ever had.
Dude, I'm mad because like 10 years ago, they definitely like all the popcorn brands like changed the kettle corn recipe. Like, and it's just not the same anymore.
How do they change it?
It's just not as good anymore.
didn't consult
it's so
Lizzo, and
it's
that's why they don't
bland and I mean, I shouldn't like it. It's full of BS anyway. But I did like my kettle corn popcorn. It was delicious.
I got a little bit of a hint of like generational gaps when somebody was like shocked at how if you've ever seen the movie Scream, the way Casey Becker is making popcorn on the stove.
Oh, with the ready
I
pop?
was. Yeah.
And they're like, what the hell is
No,
that?
I'd never
That's still
seen
a
that.
thing. So
People-
people like are just under a rock if they don't know what that is.
People
That's
do that.
still a thing.
It's kind of like people who buy who prefer vinyl because it sounds better. There's people who make
It's
stovetop
probably healthier
popcorn
for
because
you.
They think it tastes
You
better.
don't
It
have that.
probably is healthier.
You don't have that. Like I don't know what's in that popcorn
The
bag.
microplastics.
Yeah, to put it in the microwave. It's tinfoil, like basically when you get the ready pop or whatever it's called.
Oh, also somebody was talking about how all the candy bars used to be wrapped in foil, like like Kit Kat and Hershey's both used to be foil wrappers rather than plastic wrappers.
Yeah.
Or Wendy's used to be a yellow box rather than a red box, and it just hit different.
Or
We
like
could ask Lizzo about all this.
used to
I'm
get
sure.
foam cups or like styrofoam
Yeah.
or even
Chick-fil-A is the
water,
only
or
fast food
paper.
restaurant that still does foam cups, and it's like
know what
common sense. How do you insulate a cold drink?
So the county I grew up in is super woke, and they banned plastic straws, but I love it because the only people that are truly abiding by that law are like the noble people, and all the fast food places are still giving out plastic straws.
Good.
I'm like, good, yeah.
I actually have an unreasonable disdain for the
I don't know
straws.
why they just don't make modern sippy cups for adults.
Okay,
Seriously, problem solved.
I found this
Get rid of all the
website
straws.
I knew this existed. There's a fast food restaurant that's opening up called Local Fats, I think. Or no, there were like different restaurants that like
I'm so hungry.
only use real animal fat to fry their food. And it's like you're still eating fried food, so it's not healthy, but at least you're not unnecessarily ingesting like a ton of
I don't know.
seed
What
oils?
is it the seed oils that makes fried food so unhealthy? Because like I don't understand how just
feel like
a
that's part
cooking
of it.
process could make like
It's
if you have a
definitely part
regular
of it.
piece of chicken,
I
you
go
fry it
like,
versus grill it.
I mean, if I'm going to a Chinese restaurant, I'm going for the MSG and the trans fat. I'm not going there to be healthy.
Go for some Chinese.
Mary, we got some super chats
Yes.
there. Oh, also, so when I mentioned Hershey's earlier, like, of course, remember, you could go out right now and get your Hershey bar, or you could get Jeremy's chocolates. I don't know.
I haven't seen any of those.
Where is our Jeremy's chocolate? I thought we had some on the way.
Did we?
Yes, I think so.
Was it like pre-ordered only? I don't know.
I don't know.
Wayward Soul said, Frank's barbed wire cannon in Summer Special 2 was awesome. That 1992 issue molded my childhood requirement for my heroes to be ruthless badasses.
Yeah, and but the thing is, though, I still don't know if I buy that most of the people reading the comics are like, I love those old runs of the Punisher. I think most of them are like wearing Oakleys and talking about.
What's Oakleys?
It's a. What is Oakleys?
Why are you laughing?
It's a deep
Because
question. It's a sunglass company.
It's like the sunglasses that every baseball frat guy wears.
Or cop.
Today or like
yeah, today. It's most. I don't really see cops
It's like
wearing
a-
it.
Cops wear
Look
them.
up Oakley sunglasses real quick.
Cop-
yeah,
cop-
do they have the strap?
They can. A lot of times they will, but that's just like its own accessory.
Okay.
It's just like Family Guy's made jokes about
If you get pulled
Oakley.
over by a short cop with Oakleys on, you're going to jail. Like you're
Or you're
going
getting
to jail.
shot.
They're like very like form fitting around your face.
Okay, I
almost
think I
like
know
goggles.
what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. Steve Ryman said the best thing about The Little Mermaid was a woman who kept quiet. It's a lovely fantasy, but will lead to unrealistic expectations for men.
Oh my god, finally somebody's talking about our unrealistic expectations. I feel so seen and validated.
Wait, what?
Well, I just heard unreasonable expectations for men. I want
From men.
Oh, from men. That's
It
even,
says from men.
Damn it.
If you,
Okay.
If you want
For a
women
second
who
there-
keep quiet.
For a second there, I thought somebody was seeing me and validating me, and I was being seen and heard.
No, you weren't.
It's too bad.
Theoden, King of Broen, said, "Baby, it's cold under the sea."
That could be the redone version. That song is
grape-
bad.
I really hope
culture.
they don't ruin Sebastian because I feel like a lot of people like.
Because of his Jamaican accent.
It was just awesome.
Are they getting rid of his accent?
I watched The Little
that-
Mermaid for him, not for The Little Mermaid.
Really? So you would have liked the spin-off?
Like I don't
You
know.
were like, that's literally me.
I mean, like early Disney movies. I don't know how popular they were with like boys, but like the ones that I did watch, there's like it's the princess. You don't want to see the princess.
Did
you
you
can't
not want to
stand
see
her on the
Prince
screen.
Eric?
I don't.
Did you like Prince
I
Eric?
don't even remember
or
who
any
that
of the
is. He's
princes?
forgettable, I guess. But Sebastian, I remember that. I remember
Okay.
him. You know, he was spicy. Liked him.
He's the Sigma male.
Yeah, there you go.
Prince Eric is the alpha male, and Sebastian is the
Sigma crab. Sigma crab.
But even like Lilo and Stitch, I couldn't stand Lilo, but that Stitch guy, yeah, he was wild. I liked him.
Brett said, checking super chat.
Yes, that was me.
Earlier?
I had gotten logged out and I logged back. I wanted to
Oh.
make sure that super chats were still working.
Thanks, Brett.
Yes.
Bad Adam 12 said, Kellen dropping truth bombs again. If it was Tuesday, I'd take you all to Taco Bar. That's bar, Mary, not Bell. I said bar. Why
I
you
could go
have to
for both. How about Taco Bar
No,
then Taco
clarify.
Bell?
What's Taco Bar, though?
I
I know there's
well,
Taco Bell
there's-
cantinas.
I want food now. I need tacos.
Yeah,
was
do you-
National
you wanna
Burrito
get-
Day
You want to get
yesterday.
tacos after this?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, I saw. I found like I was looking back. You know how you get like your Facebook update, or I'm sorry, your Instagram will say like you posted this on this day. You can see that in your archive. I actually found one that got sent to me that from like 2018 about the taco head turning thing. Apparently, I posted a meme about it back in 2018 about turning your head to eat a taco.
How little you've changed.
How I've
over
grown
the
not
years.
one iota. I am the same person I was then.
For some reason, I know that it would be absolutely vile if Taco Bell had fish tacos, but I would still want to try them if they did come out with that.
I don't know. People swear by the filet of fish at McDonald's, and like
I've been meaning to try that too.
I have the same kind of reaction towards that.
My mom liked.
But I'm also.
filet of fish.
You grew up on. You said you grew up on near the water in Maryland, right? Like
I
pretty
mean,
close to like fishing,
I
fish life.
guess.
So like for me,
Yeah.
like being out here in the mountains, I'm like I don't really trust the seafood. But I think that's just because I come from like a
See,
similar area.
Right,
as you.
your distaste for seafood probably comes from being a Midwesterner.
Yeah.
But you're on all the lakes where people
Like
catch fresh fish
farm raised
all the time.
salmon is like an absurd idea to me.
It's the
what do you
land
mean
of-
farm
it's
raised?
the
Wait,
land-
wasn't this a huge point of contention on IRL one night where they were talking about what is fed to farm raised fish?
Probably, yeah.
Like, are they fed chicken poop? They thought they were like fed chicken poop, and I think that was confirmed.
I
in
mean,
one case.
the question, the whole point is someone does have to feed them. They're just not out in the wild doing, fish things.
I'm from the land
Fish
of
things
10,000
like
lakes.
switching your gender because that's possible for
What's
fish.
seahorses? Yes. Yeah.
Seahorses can do it, but I know there are like some bass, I think, that can like switch their gender if there's not like. I think the females will turn male if there's no male present.
That's kind of based.
Yeah, and then once a male comes back, they'll go back to being female.
See, they understand. They understand the point, the role.
It's a binary, folks. Disco Jensen said, WEF succeeded in dismantling the family unit and atomizing society. Wait, what?
Like,
Welcome
so
to
the World
Moon.
Economic Forum
the World
is,
Economic Forum.
you know, like, I do
Was it just
wonder.
them?
I wonder sometimes. Like, I also want everybody in this space to understand that we're all in our own echo chambers of sorts. I've got friends that are married that are blissfully ignorant of all this stuff going on.
Sounds
they're
nice.
they're just husband and wife. They've got their kid. Some of them are married with no kids, but they want to have kids, and they don't know this stuff is going on. They're just kind of existing. They've started to notice it in television, especially in commercials and stuff like that.
That's why you don't see conservatives taking to the streets and causing a ruckus, because they've got better things to do. They're working farms for 12 hours a day, right? Yeah. They're doing actual hard, like, laborious jobs. And it's like they don't have time to or the energy to go out and scream and cry at a politician in the street, you know?
Well, also they're under the poor misconception that they think that their supposed dignity is going to save them one day, and it likely won't.
I think that's less of the. I think probably being tired is the top of the list, and then maybe the dignity.
You're telling
next.
me that these people who understand how important kids are and want to save their kids don't want to go out and protest when they know this bad stuff is happening to their kids in public
because
schools?
they literally have kids. Like, that's the thing. The people out there protesting are childless. Yeah. The people, like, you have kids. You have two other human beings you have to take care of.
I do have friends that, like, they have kids. They don't know this stuff is going on.
That's also part of it.
And they just don't care, or they don't care, and it's just as long as their paychecks aren't affected and they're making their money. Like I said, I don't think anything really changes until there's massive food shortages and you can't feed your family.
Dude, not even.
You'll see stuff.
Wait till so the Carrington event was this massive solar storm that completely wiped out, like, the power grids in the 1800s. Let's get another Carrington event, and I guarantee the world will change overnight.
Let's not.
I don't want bad things to happen personally.
Yeah, it's just, it's just life without power and internet and for a while.
Okay, you guys say all this, but I'm the bad guy for not returning my cart.
I was like, Mary swooping in with the centrist take here. Holy shit. Like, it is what it is.
All I'm saying is I don't want the world to end because I'm not built for it.
It's the world wouldn't end. I would say it would change. It's just
you'd have to learn to readjust.
Dude, I was thinking, but we wouldn't have ice cubes. Yeah. No power, no freezers, no ice cubes.
I need my delicious drinks. Beverages control my mood in life.
There's an old video. There's like, the #1 way to a woman's heart is to make sure you got beverages. He opens up the fridge. He's like, I got Cokes, I got Gatorades, I got water, I got vitamin water. He's everything.
It's like, but do you have seltzer and White Claw? That's what
White Claw didn't exist yet, but
okay,
probably does now.
Dash Fortune said Dylan Insaney is now apparently endorsed by Nike. Corporate HQ is in Portland, Oregon, so makes a bit of sense. Now we can add Nike and Budweiser to the boycott list.
Dude, if Dylan Mulvaney can run 1 mile in less than 15 minutes, I won't complain about that.
Is this a parody? Is Nike actually endorsing?
Dude, I don't even care. Like, it's like, I'm not boycotting. Like, if you're not boycotting these companies because they use slave labor, you shouldn't really care about.
I mean, I wasn't. I'm not actively boycotting Apple. I have an iPhone.
I don't boycott.
It is what it is.
There's tons of stuff I just don't buy. Like, I don't drink, but I wouldn't buy Bud Light even if I did still drink. I don't. I'm a Reebok fan. Most of my shoes are Reebok. So
just by being a hipster, you inadvertently are already boycotting all of the woke companies.
Exactly. You know what? By being extremely against whatever is in.
Show Puma some love too. Puma's pretty good.
Overpriced.
It became overpriced when it became trendy.
Is it trendy? I thought it was out of style.
Plus, all the ones
it was, and then it came back.
I buy like replicas and reprints of like the old pumps, like the old Reebok pumps from the movies back in the day. So, so he says Nike hiking heels. When?
Oh my gosh.
No.
Also, somebody earlier in the chat, I'm sorry I don't know your name, so I can't give you credit. Said let Lizzo walk around in high heels and puncture the earth.
What, like aerate some farmland with high heels?
Crispy Like Transport LLC said, are y'all doing a Friday show? If so, I'm going to assign each host a song of the day on Friday. What does that mean?
What do we do with the song of the day? That's the
the
real.
To
only-
listen to it or to sing it or to what?
I'm
What's
not
the plan?
singing anything.
I mean, we are doing a Friday show,
Show.
but
Don't go breaking my heart. You got that's the one you should do, Brad.
Also, Crispy Leg Transport
Karaoke
LLC. It's been a
PCC.
while, man. Good to see you. Haven't seen Crispy Leg in a while.
yeah, Dash Fortune said, so I really dig the outro music you guys have going on. Any possibility of any of your musical talent making an intro for the dead air at the start? Your sister company could also use some musical.
I've thought about
Music.
that. Do we want to add music to the start of I kind of
I have an
like
idea.
the quiet. But
The Quiet's cool. I was also thinking it's a good opportunity to showcase some PCC clips and stuff, some highlights from the past week. You know,
I don't know.
cue it up real quick.
I'll have to like figure out where I'm going to find the time of the day to do that.
I can help you. I can
Well,
help you.
Carter will. I like
Um,
the idea of having some music at the beginning.
Yeah.
Is that like
That's something we could add.
okay?
We could add. We'll look into it.
Carnell said, I didn't realize that they race swapped Jabba the Hutt.
We're gonna hold off on the rest and oof on that one. Oof. All right, guys, we're moving on. We will come back to the rest later. So Donald Glover is in the news for a couple of things. The first thing that I saw here is very interesting, but we're gonna get into the Tina Fey comments first. Tina Fey essentially admits to Donald Glover that he was in fact a diversity hire when he was hired for 30 Rock as a writer. He was
It
hired.
sounds like a
offensive thing to
joke
say.
Tina Fey would tell.
He was hired through what is called NBC's Diversity Initiative, which means essentially they got him for free. They didn't have to pay him because NBC would foot the bill for it. So he gets hired in that context, and he said that it gave him nightmares about having to, feel like he's performing well on the show.
Was this after or before he started rapping?
He rapped before
Okay, he
this.
was already rapping
Yeah, he was already
before
rapping
this.
before this. Yep. He actually is. If we're going to operate under the idea that Donald Glover is what you would call a diversity hire, he is the gold standard for what you want, as in somebody who became extremely successful, is clearly actually very talented.
Sure, I just believe it's kind of implying that if Donald Glover had not been hired as a writer on 30 Rock, that it would have been because of race, and that's just not true. It would have been a coincidence that it didn't come across someone's desk.
He's been slighted, and I don't think it was race that was the issue, but he's been slighted because he's kind of been like the internet's hero for a while. When I
Why?
remember, just because everything he was funny, he was pretty non-controversial. Everything he was in was good, and then he was a nerd, right? And so I remember when the animated Spider-Man show was coming out, and overwhelmingly everyone was like Donald Glover, and he gets shafted, right? They won't even consider him for the role. So I don't know what it is, but he has been slighted early on in his career. Now that he went through Community, he had a successful music career, he's doing a successful show called Atlanta. I don't know if that's the case anymore. He's kind of made a name for himself.
Well, he's now got a production company called Gilga Productions, and what I found most interesting about both of these articles, guys, wasn't anything to do with him being called a diversity hire. That's, if anything, just a hook. He's producing a short film with Michelle, that'd be even
Not
funnier,
Michelle
with
Obama.
Malia
Malia.
Obama. And what's interesting here is he actually admits to the idea that Hollywood is existing in a post-profit era. He essentially says that this company, Gilga, was created. So I'm going to read the quote here. It says, their approach to collaborating with Malia represents Gilga's larger approach to filmmaking, which Idori said was more about diversity of thought than diversity for optics. He said he's been looking to create a space for black artists to simply make art in their own style and establish themselves as auteurs without having to be successful every time. He's admitting that the post-profit era is in fact upon us, and he references a couple of artists. He references Wes Anderson. He goes, no Wes Anderson movies ever make any money, and he's kind of right about that. I think the Royal Tenenbaums profited, but
does that also apply to Tarantino and
No.
Scorsese? That's not the case.
no, and Kanye West.
Kanye West is a massively profitable collaborator.
But Wes
and
Anderson
artist.
seems to be the one he's referring to more here. He says, like with Wes Anderson, there's different rules, Glover said, adding that the director's work never makes money. It's not about the money. It's about sending a message. Okay,
He said it's not about the money. It's because a certain group of people are like, this is important. And I was like, are Black people at a point now where they can do that on their own?
And they are, with whether we're talking about this, whether we're talking about Tyler Perry and his production empire, which is growing. There are a lot of examples here beyond just the fact that Hollywood does in fact enforce diversity initiatives, which give people more of an opportunity to get their foot in the door, in which the best case scenario you could hope for is that you create the next
It's just like
Donald Glover.
If the aim here is to lift up creative people from his racial community, why is it that you would immediately pick someone who can get whatever they want? Malia Obama.
Well,
Being
you know,
Obama's
her
daughter,
dad could
you
do
can
that
do
for her.
whatever you want. Your dad has a production company.
Right.
You can also go with any other production company. I'm sure they'd be happy to have you. But this is being framed as like him lifting up an up and coming.
Well, no, he mentions it here. He
Filmmaker?
says Glover's larger vision for his production company, which likens producing quality work to the way rich kids do. Rich kids don't do shit for money. They do things based on if it's going to make them happy. What's really what I realized in the last go round, I made a lot of money, and it wasn't that I was depressed or anything like that, but I just realized it's the people I was around that mattered, he said. People don't get quality anymore. They need a filter. Gilga is a perfect filter for that. So he sees it as like, look, I guess you can take Malia Obama and allow her to make stuff in the way she wants to make it.
You know, for all the stupid reboots and re-envisionings of everything that we're getting, like Donald Glover, Jordan Peele, Eric July, like Black Americans are actually creating new pieces of work, right? Like whether or not people enjoy it is beside the point, is at least they're actually trying to pave their own way and create new
Jordan
stuff
Peele.
for us. That's what I said, Jordan Peterson, Jordan Peele. But
aside from the Candyman reboot, which he was not the director on, he was the producer on.
right.
In general, yeah.
But you know, he's had what, three hits since then that were completely him.
Yeah.
So I'm just happy there's new stuff, and I don't have to just rewatch The Little Mermaid all over again.
I mean, most of this stuff is never going to get released in theaters. It's all going straight to streaming
Nope was in
services.
theaters.
No, I'm saying the stuff he's talking about here. Jordan Peele's a different case.
yeah.
Jordan Peele's a different case.
Right.
The stuff he's talking about here, whether we're talking about a Malia Obama movie, which I shudder
Look,
to think what that's like.
A short film
I'll-
made by Malia Obama, if we're being realistic, is going to be about some woke social justice.
Maybe not though,
garbage.
because if you remember, like when they were in the White House as kids, they were constantly giving Barack a hard time because they were out like partying basically and smoking. So there might be something like I'm gonna keep an open mind here, because
Should we review Malia Obama's movie?
is it supposed to? I'm just worried it's gonna be like a documentary.
It says short film, so I don't know. I guess that
So
would mean
a short film about her being like in
It
the
shouldn't
White
be about
House.
her.
I hope not.
I'm not
It would
interested.
be cool if they could make something that wasn't a self-insert. Like that's my biggest complaint with so much of what we see now is it's all self-inserts
Right.
because nobody has an imagination anymore and they can't imagine. There was an amazing video. You guys go back and watch. I don't even know the name of it. Zach from Comics Matter did a hilarious video yesterday about this writer who gave a horse vitiligo.
What?
It was like a brony comic, or it was like a My Little Pony
Horses
comic.
just have patches of fur that are different colors.
You
anyway.
have to.
What do
You have to go. You
How
have
does
to
a
go-
horse have
You have to go.
vitiligo?
You have to go watch
And how
it.
is a bison non-binary? I cry out
Like-
to the heavens.
And he said, like, imagine living in a world where you're so like creatively bankrupt that you take a horse and you give it and you basically give it your condition because you don't have any
It's Michael
creativity.
Jackson horse.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And he said there is a horse version of vitiligo where in which you're not born with a kidney and you're not born with like a liver or something and you die in 2 days.
The hell?
And he's like, but he couldn't even give the horse that. He gave the horse a human condition because
Because it's non-fatal.
Yeah, no, because
Or-
because they themselves had it and they
because he
couldn't
has it.
because they couldn't imagine telling a story about something they themselves hadn't experienced because people are creatively bankrupt.
Well, I mean, you can write a story about being a horse and you haven't experienced that, so why does it have to extend?
Because you give it
to-
human qualities. Also, it's like, is it going to be a story it's a story about a girl named Maria, who's the daughter of a president.
Yeah.
And she'll do drugs.
If
and
it's a
not get caught.
documentary that's lame, that's giving like Gutsy by Hillary Clinton.
Someone just chatted. There I was, a young black girl in a White House.
Yeah.
for Malia Obama.
It's so poetic.
Hate it when that happens.
Dude, that'd be kind of funny if she said that.
I mean, also, if she's an actress in it, I'm kind of less interested in that too. If she's just a writer or a director, I'll respect the effort.
I haven't seen it, but to be fair, I haven't seen anything good from the Obamas since they had that giant deal they signed with Netflix. Like, they were supposed to come out with all this content, and I don't even know if they've come out with it. I think there was one thing so far, right?
Yeah, and then there's the Archwell Productions studio owned by Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, which never really...
Tim actually covered today. He covered the story I wanted to do the other day about Leonardo DiCaprio going on the stand to talk about all that money that like the lead singer of the Fugees funneled to the Obamas in 2012.
Oh.
Like $30 million to the Obamas that was like pilfered from like the Malaysian government or something like that. And I wanted to cover it because it involved the funding that came in. Like the guy that's being accused of this was the lead singer of was one of the original founding members of the Fugees. And he did the funding for Wolf of Wall Street. Tim covered it earlier today. But it's all evil. They're all swindlers. They're all criminals. Maybe we should arrest them and bring them to a show trial in New York City. Because maybe if he got the money from a porn star, then we could bring him to trial, but I guess not. So. Also, by the way, somebody needs to right now start. Do you guys remember when Lil Wayne got arrested and they had free Wheezy shirts? We need free Trump shirts ASAP. Like ASAP. We need.
I know they already exist.
We need to
probably
make
on
those.
Luke's.
Dude,
website.
I like, this is gonna be an unpopular opinion, but like, dude, I'm so over this. Like, it's a media nothing burger. They want you, they're holding a shiny object in your face and say, look,
in the works, in development, at wherever.
Yeah.
Like, things are constantly in
Unprecedented,
development,
I get it,
but
but
never
like,
come to be.
I'm not gonna spend every day on like, okay, Trump jail watch day 3. Like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm sorry.
There was some great AI created mugshots that were fantastic.
I've seen a couple of them.
So yeah. Also,
there aren't going to be real ones.
Glover said when it came to. He also talks in here about bringing on Liam Neeson to do the scene about that. Kind of apologizes for his gaffe. Do you remember like when Liam Neeson basically admitted that he had no idea how the world worked anymore and talked about how like when his like somebody he knew was R-worded and they identified the person who R-worded them as a black person. He says, I went out looking to, he's like, I just went around walking angry looking for a black person to be mad at for like a week or something. I was like, he admitted that in 2020. Who does that? Are you not reading the news, dude?
Well, he's Irish, right?
It doesn't matter.
That's
He works in America. Like
the Irish are famous
they brought
for doing
him
stuff
on.
like that.
They brought him on Atlanta and like kind of poked fun at it.
Mel Gibson is still working.
Well, that's the way. Like, dude, sorry to interrupt you, Mary, but like that's the way that like race relations. Like, if there's any actual conflict, it's a great way to solve it. Like, let's poke fun at the gaffe. Come together, create some art together. You know, like don't like imagine if they tried to cancel him and just like he got blackballed from every.
Well, they did try to cancel him. It just didn't work.
Good.
Like, the media tried to cancel him, just didn't work. Glover defends his work and brushes off the criticisms, which recently include Swarm's depictions of black women. I think they're talking about that sex scene also in Swarm that we were talking about that one day. He says, I'm not a politician. I'm an artist and I'm good. I'm a good artist. That's the difference. If I didn't think I was a good artist, then I'd be like, maybe I shouldn't do this. But this is nuanced and funny. I like it. For the most part, I'm a fan of Donald Glover.
I like him.
He just kind of annoys me. I don't know why.
He just comes off as artsy to me, and I appreciate.
Yeah, that's what I dislike.
I appreciate that he's just kind of artsy. And
I'll give you that. He is kind of like a dweeb in most like Community, and like he's really soft in the characters he plays.
I would also rather take Tyler Perry over what's his name than Jordan Peele any day of the week.
Why?
I have no idea. I can't intellectualize or verbalize why.
Maybe because he's just been around longer.
Maybe he's just been around. But also I feel like Key and Peele used to be pretty even-handed, and now they lean very heavily in one direction. With not the show, but Jordan Peele with his.
I don't know. I just saw Keegan-Michael Key doing like a musical.
No, he's great. Like he's great, and he does a lot of just the same role. And like, do you see his Bad Predator movie that he was in? I love that. I love that movie.
He was in Mad TV, wasn't he? Before Key and Peele, yeah. I miss that show.
I really don't like that when someone criticizes a Jordan Peele film, they're just called racist.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing that happened to Obama, right? You weren't allowed to criticize Obama, otherwise you're racist.
Right.
So
I think that's a really cheap
like
way to silence people.
Then maybe that's what I'm trying to intellectualize. I feel like you're like people can be like, I don't like Tyler Perry movies, and no one's gonna be like, well, you're a racist piece of crap. They're gonna
If
be
you
like,
say that about Jordan Peele, they will.
yeah, but they're like, oh, you don't like Medea? You're probably just a person who doesn't like Medea. If you're like, I don't like Nope, they're like, where is your Klan hoodie? Like,
Nope
where's your
Yeah.
Klan?
Nope
Like,
felt
I know it's
pretty-
in the
Why? Like,
closet there
what's the
somewhere.
fundamental difference? They're just movies.
Right.
Exactly.
I just like, even if like Nope was okay to me, I liked the other two movies, Us and what was the other one?
Get out.
Get Out. And I'm just happy there's just new movies. Honestly, even if I don't enjoy it, at least it keeps me entertained for 2 hours. And it's not watching the same nonsense over and over again.
Yep.
Do you guys think that Tina Fey was just joking?
No,
when
I
she
don't.
said that
No, I don't
he
like
was a
Tina
diversity
Fey.
hire?
She's never been funny to me.
No, I think she's
I
saying
think
it
it's
in a
probably
way.
real.
I think she's saying it in a way that's business oriented. Like the way she phrases it just sounds like she's talking about it in a business context, not in the context of
I
trying to be
imagine her
insulting.
saying this in a snarky way.
Maybe.
Like, yeah.
He said there's no animosity between us or anything like that, but Tina Fey said it herself. The last two people who were fighting for the job were me and Kenya Barris. I didn't know it was between me and him until later. He also said that the Blackish creator said he hated Donald Glover for years. That's
Well,
weird.
Yeah, and he says it definitely didn't feel like I was supposed to be here. Like he felt a little bit of, what do you call that? Imposter syndrome.
Okay, that's a situation where imposter syndrome makes sense. If there is some like important thing that you're doing and you maybe don't have the faith in yourself to think that you deserve it. But when I hear that just some random person with an email job has imposter syndrome, it's like, you have imposter syndrome because you know that your job isn't useful to society and you are rightfully making the judgment that you don't deserve to be
don't know. I mean,
there.
I-
Lack of fulfillment.
I get
yeah,
that
it's a
feeling,
lack of fulfillment, not imposter syndrome.
I get that feeling with this job just because I feel like I like to compare myself to people that are very good in this space. So there's like the idea like, do you deserve to be here? I think that's a fair. At the very least, maybe you shouldn't like live on the concept of imposter syndrome, but it's good to hold yourself to a high standard.
You know, like in a job like this, like I think what you just gotta try to make a change, because you're making more of a difference than you realize. You're probably making more than if you were swinging a hammer or doing construction. You're making more of a difference because there's
But he's saying that would be
thousands of
bad at
people,
construction.
thousands of people listen to you every day. So it's like you do have a chance to make a change and make a change for the better.
If someone said that like one of us would be more useful working at like a sewage treatment plant, it's like, would we though?
I mean, if there was if they had 0 workers, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like you can just insert any random person into any
Right.
random job and then they're going to all provide the same amount of value there. Let's go to Super
All
Chats.
right, let's do it.
The Last of My Kind said, Cameo's done right. Daniel Craig as a stormtrooper.
No, stop.
Or Hugh
Find
Grant.
someone new.
Would that happen?
Hugh Grant in Knives Out.
Shane H. Wilder said Disney is losing money hand over fist, so they decided to go big or go home. No pun intended. All they have to do is tell good stories.
They're sitting on a gold
They certainly went big.
They certainly went big. So, big deal.
Disco Jensen said, what do you think would improve content coming out of Hollywood?
That's a very large question. I think decentralization and the removal of a lot of these properties from Fortune 500 companies that water down all their products. Allow them to be created by people who have full creative control so that we don't have Disney telling Lin-Manuel Miranda that he has to edit the song from The Little Mermaid because of some consent ghost that's not actually scaring anyone.
Consent ghost?
Yeah, it's a ghost of fear that they have that somebody's going to be offended by the concept that the Little Mermaid didn't get asked consent. Nobody's actually worried about that, and it's ruining the art. The best way to fix the art is to decentralize it and put it in the hands of actual artists and give them what they need to
Yeah,
make
the
it.
sick part is that they're changing it for old people. Specifically for old women. And this is supposed to be a movie for kids, and the kids don't even know what was in the first movie that's supposed to supposedly like offend them so deeply.
I love the memes where it shows like the Little Mermaid, and then with the new diversity cast, there's a young black girl, and she's like, oh my god, that's me. And it shows like Optimus Prime, and it's like every race in the world. They're like, oh my god, that's me. And it's like, it's true. You create a good character, and people will see themselves in that character.
Have you ever seen the Transformers video
No.
where Optimus Prime is taking on Megatron, and Megatron changes genders so that he can't be beat up by Optimus Prime? Like, you wouldn't hit a woman, would you? And he gets yelled at for misgendering him, and then finally all of the Autobots leave Optimus Prime because he's being. You have to watch it. Maybe I'll link it in the description.
Put it in the Slack, because I put a couple things for you to watch, Mary, in the Slack.
Incredible.
Okay. The Last of My Kind said Bill Burr cameoed, but his story, although short, was miles better than Jack Black or Lizzo cameo. Story over spectacle.
Also,
Commie Utopia, because planet was already rich, basically a trust fund planet. # capital city.
Also, Bill Burr defended Gina Carano when he
did.
Yeah, he basically said like she's a sweetheart, and he felt like what was happening to her was ridiculous.
So was his cameo before or after that?
She was on the show when he was.
So was it at the same time?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Let's hold off on the rest, and we will come back. We're almost to a third crisis party.
Okay.
But we got one more to talk about, guys, and this one is, I'm going to actually put the I don't know if I should put it on the screen. It's gross.
I mean, there are censored images.
I won't even risk it.
Yeah. Okay, there is a show, guys, called Naked Education, and it's sparking fury because the show basically shows adults stripping off and standing fully naked in front of people that are not adults.
Charge them all.
Many viewers were shocked to see a group of adults strip naked in front of children aged 14 to 16. Gosh, I would be shocked to see that as well.
And the creator of the show says she likes to push back on taboos, and she's out to change the culture. But the taboo she thinks that she's breaking through on is about body positivity, not about the taboo that we all know this is about, which is Hollywood and the media's creepy obsession with sexualizing children.
Yeah.
Why would looking at other people... Here's what I don't get. Why would looking at other people naked make you feel better about how you look naked? What's the correlation?
I guess the idea here is like if you see it enough, it's like exposure therapy.
If you see how disgusting other people look, it makes you feel better about how you look disgusting.
I mean, I know the British are always more edgy than American television, so we're gonna look at this probably with more shock than even they will look at this.
I am putting
but at the same time, young men and young women, if you need to let that stuff happen naturally. Like when I was a young kid, going to the beach was awesome, right? Because you saw women with less clothing. I didn't need to have a television program I didn't need to have to sit down in front of it with it's porn. That's what it is.
It's not
porn.
just that, but why when you're talking about seeing someone in a bathing suit, it's at least that's a socially appropriate context. In this situation, they are likely hiring children from a talent agency, and they're managed by their parents who signed them up for this.
Everyone
they can't
involved,
consent to this.
Everyone involved should be charged because
they're literally getting flashed.
This is I don't even know what words to use because you can't even talk about this stuff on YouTube, right?
We'll get in trouble for talking about it, but they will not get in trouble for making a show this sick.
Outright documenting their own crimes.
Well, I mean, it's just like you can get in trouble for misinformation, but CNN and Fox and all of them can have all the misinformation they want because they're authoritative news sources.
No.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, if you're the adults in this, who signs up for this? Who? We need to know exactly who each of these people are. We need to know the parents that took their children to this. We need to know the showrunner, who signed off, who's investing in this, because that's how you stop this. You need to not just pick one person and call them out. You need to call out everyone. And cancel culture sucks, but highlighting the truth is not cancel culture, right? Demanding it's a problem, man, and it's bad.
So Brett, I know this came up on the show when I was out for a couple of days, but you guys talked about Pretty Baby, Brooke Shields' documentary about how she grew up in the limelight and she was sexualized from an extremely young age. Literally we're talking 8 years old through her entire childhood. And it was also because of her mother's abuse and
because her mom was
pushing her into that industry, and she was in Playboy, all of this different sick stuff. And I get obviously that like subject matter is extremely disturbing, and it's in a way, I suppose, a good thing that she's drawing awareness to what happened. However, I don't like the narrative that now that society has progressed past all of this horrible behavior, now we can talk about what happened to Brooke Shields and we can lash ourselves for it and move on, and then everything's okay. When obviously the entertainment industry hasn't changed a single bit since that happened. If anything, it's only gotten worse, and it just looks different now. It's now done in the name of body positivity, or, you know, destigmatizing.
Yeah, here, I'll read the quote from the...
You make up nice words to dress it up, but it's still what it is. You're sexualizing kids.
I'm going to read the quote from the creator. It says, I like to make shows that are controversial, that break taboos, and that make a difference. And with every single show that I've done before, you can tick one of those boxes. Naked Education is a body positive educational series that is basically aiming to normalize all body types and champion everybody's differences so that we can accept that that with our clothes off, we're all normal. So why not show it to adults who are like...
Even then, it wouldn't make sense if you were showing... If this were a show where they like are naked in front of other adults, the premise of it still doesn't make sense. Showing other people what you look like naked isn't going to make them love themselves. It's just forcing them to look at you naked. It's voyeurism, exhibitionism at its core. That's what it is. Dr.
Alex George took to Instagram to tell his followers, I'm so excited. It'll really help people. I think they'll find it powerful to watch. It reminds me of, I was reading yesterday.
Just throw away the whole United Kingdom.
It was like yesterday I was reading about, what's his name? John Money, the guy who created the term of gender identity, who created the concept of gender identity, and what he did to the twin boys.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm reading it, and as I'm reading it, I'm just like getting more and more angry and realizing that these are the champions of these movements, that as long as you couch it in terms, and he blamed when he got in trouble for what happened with I think his name was Dylan. I don't remember what the boy's name was. Both those brothers self-deleted eventually. One suicide and the other one pills, antidepressants. Basically blamed right-wing right-wing media bias for what happened to him. Like, it's all the same thing. It's just that first of all, now the media is 100% on board with it and doesn't push back. They support it. And second of all, they've learned to couch it in language that is flowery and distracts. It obfuscates what it means to people who are uninitiated and distracts the people that are.
I don't know. And this is like, when you start normalizing this kind of stuff, this is how real children and real victims are created.
Yep.
Where someone watches this and thinks it's normal to get to strip.
Yep.
And it goes too far, and you know what? And then then a life was lost, and that's on your hands. Except these showrunners, they'll never be held accountable. They'll never be held accountable for this.
I mean, I think that there are a lot of sick people out there with a latent desire in them to victimize vulnerable people, including children. And if you show them that that's increasingly a socially acceptable behavior, then they will act on their latent desires, and people will be victimized in the real world. And we are, no matter what you cope about it, like, we are affected by the media we watch. It's maybe not as simple as playing violent video games makes people into school shooters. It's not that simple, but it happens. It's a real phenomenon, and I honestly, media in this format hasn't even existed long enough for us to say definitively that it doesn't affect us. It does, and there are dangerous people out there who see media like this and think that it's an excuse for them.
To me, this is so much worse than like that guy Jeffrey Marsh. on TikTok that tells kids to like leave their parents and go no contact. Like that's TikTok. You got to go and like he's got to either appear in your algorithm or you have to go and search that guy out, right? This show is proof that investors were involved, that it got approval on multiple levels.
Well, because
right?
it's the UK, doesn't that mean it has like government backing?
Maybe. I don't know about that, but what I'm saying is the amount of people involved in a major production like this, like that is so much worse than an individual social media post, because you're saying hundreds, if not thousands of people have given the thumbs up or don't care to this reprehensible behavior, and that's why it's so much more damaging.
The worst part about it is not even necessarily how awful the behavior is, but the audacity to then couch it in the language that you're doing something virtuous. It says, another viewer said, what an awesome show idea. Only in Britain would they show fully naked people on TV at 8 p.m., but I love that. Seems like a very empowering and positive show about tackling insecurities.
Just do an exotic cooking show.
Carl Malkin said to one critic, kids who grow up knowing the human body is a work of art and nudity is natural are clearly better adjusted than you. Your parents are supposed to teach you this stuff, not some creep on television who may or may not be a pedophile. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, no.
No, but I agree. Like, if they wanted to actually be noble, yeah, take the kids out of the equation, because whose idea was that in the first place? And like, let's have some fun with it, right? Like what about a cooking show where you spill hot stuff and you're naked? So yeah, you burn things.
This is a hugely important. This is the stuff I hate. Is when they make it out to be something great. It says this is a hugely important series which will show the diversity in normal bodies and how they inevitably change due to things like age, weight gain, loss, illness, etc. You don't need to bring live children in and show them this image in person. You don't need to do that. Kids shouldn't be watching this.
You can also tell that a body's changing without stripping. Like, I know a person's 80 and they don't have to get naked for me to know that. Like, I can tell.
To be fair, there were a lot of comments that pushed back on it. Ripped Jean says, naked adults exposing themselves to 15 to 16-year-old boys and girls on TV. What the F is wrong with this country? Amen.
Thankfully, that's the majority response, but the people who are responding to this positively, I genuinely don't understand the thought process. Like, I'm trying to understand it from their perspective and what could possibly be your rationalization for this. Because I just see, like, anything that's shocking equals good. The tweet says, I'll have to rewatch the full thing. What an awesome idea. Only in Britain would they show fully naked people on TV at 8 p.m., but I love that. Seems like a very empowering and positive show about tackling insecurities. It's like stupid people fall for this and like in this good place in their heart probably think that this helps people accept things about themselves.
They don't think about it too much.
If you don't think about it too much, you're probably thinking like, yeah, this is like, you know, a remedy for the fact that we like have Photoshop and magazine covers, and it's just like if you're like midwit enough, you can like rationalize this to yourself. But I genuinely don't understand how you don't dig deeper than that. Like, why would it be okay for children to be involved? And even if it were an adults only show, I would still be sitting here making fun of it, because why do you think it would accomplish anything?
I think one of the reasons,
if it were only adults, like what's the justification?
Yeah, there's nothing to educate them on. They should know.
Adults know what other adults look like.
That's why I said the cooking thing. I mean, it could be any activity. Like if you want to have naked people in your show and you want to be raunchy, make it adults only. Let's add some fun. Make it an obstacle. Make it American Ninja Warrior. Right?
They already have, they have that show called Too Hot to Handle, where literally the challenge of the reality show is that you can't have sex.
But you're naked the whole time?
You're not naked the whole time. You just can't have sex.
That's not that
with the
hard.
Other contestants.
That's really not that hard.
No, not just that, but it's like,
they probably put them in like situations where it's like,
okay, but really you're gonna put down like 600, what was it? Like they give you some hundreds of thousands of dollars to not have sex and they can't do it.
They should just
what is reality television anymore? And this is a genre that I like. And it's being ruined to promote degeneracy constantly.
I miss like John and Kate +8 and Wife Swap. And
what about like 19 Kids and Counting? Like
here's
even that like had a dark side.
To be fair, that family
it's just like
it's kind of crazy.
Something that isn't outwardly degenerate.
Right.
You
I think
know?
one of the things that it is that we've been conditioned to believe that the evils of the world are wide-eyed spitting lunatics that will tell you with like a grin on their face why they're evil and they're proud of being evil. What they don't realize is that the real evil is the one that can convince you that they're not, and they use academic or current year buzzword terms to defend behavior that is not really acceptable, but they can couch it in enough buzzwords and language that they can rationalize it to a person who doesn't look into it too deep. So instead of the cartoonish villain, you have an educated villain who knows how to make it seem less bad than it is through the way that they speak. I think James Lindsay would have a lot to say on that. One person did have a fairly decent pushback here, though. They said, let me find it. I lost it here.
Dying to know what this is.
Well, it says, not a fan of this, but there is nudity on beaches in France where all ages are together. So maybe in America, we are just way more freaked out by a naked body again than, and he says, again, not defending.
I've got the retort there.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so a nude beach, like, yes, it's like nudity's allowed, but it's not a requirement. You will see fully clothed people. Not to mention, right? You're not like with a TV show, all eyes, the focus on these 4 naked people. A nude beach, like, you're also in the sun, right? You're also doing beach things. You're also in the water.
It's not the entire focus of the activity. The idea is that it's actually something that normalizes it by making it something you just see in your everyday life, not focusing on it inherently.
There's nude beaches, I think, in Florida, and in parts of probably the West Coast. And it's like, I almost feel like for college kids, I get it. I understand, but like, you don't need to make this a family, event.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that if anything, what has made Western people, or maybe specifically Americans, scandalized so easily by the human body or nudity in general is pornography, not is like a pornographic view of the naked body, not a lack of seeing the naked body,
Yeah.
Like,
Someone just said
the naked body has never been a mystery to any people in history. Like, that's not.
There have been, and the funny thing is, there are TV shows that have great episodes that always involve like nude beaches or nude retreats, and they always do the trope where it's like they pick the least likely person you'd ever want to see naked as like the person who just loves it and is naked all the time. But it's done on a TV show where it's like they cleverly hide the nudity, like a person's arm comes up and they like walk into frame.
Well, people said nude beaches are good to avoid tan lines, which is, I guess, true, but like, you can also tan anywhere. And then someone also said, rest in peace, skinny dipping. But like, that's not the same thing. Like, that's an intimate activity between usually
And this is like the
two
kids,
people that are dating or married.
I'm going to put this on screen temper. Like, avert your eyes if you don't want to see the gross naked people. It is blurred out, but I'm going to put it on the screen. Look at this. This is what you see. And then this is the other side of the room. They're in school chairs.
That's.
I would love to follow these
The optics,
children
like,
and see
how
what
does this
happens
get
to them.
approved?
That's what I was saying.
The optics
And that's what
are
upsets me
terrible.
so much, because it had to go through how many layers, how
And
many
no one
different
said
people,
no.
and
It's
nobody
the same
said
thing
no.
with Balenciaga. It goes through so many layers of like.
I don't know if people are
there
cowards
like product
or they're
designers,
degenerates.
set designers, photographers, lighting technicians, and Photoshop people who are photoshopping, graphic designers, and marketing executives, and it can go all the way to the top, and nobody says no the entire time.
Yep.
While you're putting children next to bondage gear in an ad campaign, it was no one at any point in that process
Right.
said no, and this happens all the time. Why?
Right, and that's why, like, with the books that we're finding in U.S. schools, and people, like, they try to say you're being hysterical if you get offended by that. It's like, yo, someone had to write this book, someone had to illustrate it, someone had to publish it, someone had to put it on their online store, someone had to purchase it, someone had to then receive the shipment and hand it to a child. This stuff doesn't just happen.
Right,
There are
yeah.
layers to it, and every layer is corrupt, and it's a demonic onion, and you just keep peeling back the layers, and it gets worse and worse. That's what it is.
I'm to counter the depressingness of all this, I'm shouting out the Pop Culture Crisis Discord right this second. I'm shouting it out right now, both on my Discord and live now
What are they
on the
saying?
show. Well, they were talking about it earlier. They're just Mary was rolling 20s today. They're arguing with Bertman about the Burt cult. So
Oh my
you know,
goodness. He's in this one too.
There were a
Spread
couple
to
of weeks
PCC?
on the show where everyone was like, Mary is on one. Like, what happened? And I just like went off for 2 weeks and then stopped.
Because it's exhausting
don't
to
know
be
what
angry.
happened.
It really, like, I don't want to be upset. I wish I could like.
This shit keeps happening.
I wish I could be like a Disney movie where I, well, not current Disney movies, but the old ones where I'd wake up with a huge grin. I'd be singing and dancing. Like, but like, life's not that. Life sucks.
Bertman, give us is Bertman watching? You should give us our third crisis party. Just saying.
Do it.
Paying attention to the
Do it.
Discord. All right. The point of the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, Hollywood and the entertainment industry is full of degenerate weirdos.
It's woke.
It's never going away, and it's more
Nude
woke.
beaches are woke.
It's more woke than taxes, bro. All right.
British television is woke.
Let's go to Super Chats, Mary.
High Voltage 75 said Adele lost a bunch of weight and got attacked for it. The same thing would happen to Lizzo.
Think so?
Would it?
Probably, yeah.
I just think she...
But Adele, and that's probably true too, because Adele was like, it's not her, like it was her only characteristic. She was better known for her music.
Adele was less known for the body positivity stuff than Lizzo is.
Yes. She was just a bigger girl that happened to also be extremely talented.
So if Lizzo did the same thing and lost the weight, then I think she would get attacked even more fiercely for
I
it
agree.
Well,
because
because
she's
she's-
made her whole
yeah.
brand off of it. Yep. She knows that even if she wanted to lose weight, it's not an option for her career-wise.
Dude, she's honestly so big too that she would have to get surgery, because if she lost all that weight, there's nowhere for that skin to go.
That's true.
That
That's
doesn't
part of
go
it, too.
away. So, made your bed.
Bad Adam
Whoa,
12
that's
said Taco Bar is in Frederick. Awesome food.
I've actually heard about that. Yeah, I've heard that place is good.
I guess it's a bar and they have tacos there.
now I'm hungry again.
Dude, I know. I know.
It's always during the show that we just toward the end we start thinking about food.
Tacos, burgers, or pizza. If you had to pick one of the three,
Right now?
At all,
Forever?
forever.
You can
Forever.
only-
That's tough.
Chat thoughts: tacos, burgers, or
It's
pizza?
definitely pizza that I'd
Tacos,
choose.
because I can split the ingredients up
Mm.
and not have the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
But when people think of ordering food, they don't think let's order tacos. They usually think let's order pizza. So you have
Because
like
it's easier. And
Yeah.
it's like it'll appeal to everyone
Yeah.
easier. Like,
I would go with pizza.
Mm.
You Brett?
Probably.
You're the one that asked the question.
Probably burgers.
Okay.
I almost meant burgers.
Such a
but-
diversity of opinion and
But like,
thought
if I
here.
wanted to
That's
like
what it's all about.
just get protein in, like I could take it out of the taco. You know, if I just wanted like some
No,
some
you have
carbs.
to eat it. You can't deconstruct it.
Why not? It's
Really,
my food.
on a lot of days, on a lot of days, I would say tacos too. I kind of go back and.
It's like, oh, if I just wanted cheese, I would eat pizza
Yeah.
with the cheese peeled off.
Yeah, you
Like,
could
I-
also do that with tacos or burgers. You peel
I
the
guess,
cheese off.
but it's not really pizza anymore. You're just eating cheese. It's not pizza.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
well.
The last of my kind said y'all should do fake commercials for an intro
Oh,
idea.
I would love to do that.
I want to make a Raid Shadow Legends commercial, even though we're not sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, because it's such a rite of passage in this space to have a Raid
Or
Shadow
Raycon.
Legends or a Raycon.
We could do
commercial.
parodies of like Lizzo's new clothing brand. We could have our own like woke clothing brand.
Mary can have like a skinny only, like only for skinny people clothing.
Well, that already exists. It's called One Size.
The whole time we were reading that article, I kept thinking of that woke denim by the woke Levi's.
Yeah,
That
Levi Wokes.
Levi Wokes.
Yeah. It's like they're
It's
made for,
nobody. So it's for
So
everybody.
it's everybody.
yeah, exactly. That's everyone needs to go watch that skit.
Goofer Trooper said at the time of this message, 488 views and 70 likes.
What?
That doesn't
Guys,
seem right to
there's 294 likes now. Hit the like button. Subscribe to this channel. I want the third crisis party. I'm gonna
Come
have to
on.
if I have to do, oh, there it goes.
If you're
Fantastic.
watching and
Nice.
you haven't hit the like button, can you please
Yeah.
give us an itemized list of the reasons why you refuse
we're
to
gonna
like the
need to
video?
know. I mean,
Because
there
I'm
are
genuinely curious. I'm genuinely like, I want to know.
there are people.
What's the problem?
When I put the hit the like button part at the beginning of the show, like in the chat, somebody's like, but on principles, like I don't like anything until I've watched it because I don't know if I like it yet. I'm like, I like it. I like the honesty
Okay.
in that. Like it's like
After the show,
yeah,
then,
they're like, I can't
if
do
you
that.
decide that we're worthy.
How am I supposed to say? How am I supposed to hit the like button now? I have no idea if I like this yet.
Yeah.
You know what you're
Good for
getting,
you.
though. When you
Exactly.
tune in, you know what you're getting on
Yes.
Pop Culture Crisis. The Last of My Kind said, I'm saying he was a stormtrooper. It was unnoticeable.
That's cool, too.
Daniel Craig already was?
Yeah, they did a cameo with him.
Old Warrior 34 said, reminder that 13 Reasons Why actually increased suicide rates and nothing happened to the showrunners.
Look, there's a difference
we don't
here.
know, though.
Yes,
right?
there is a difference here between saying that their glorification of it through the show caused it, and this show, which is actually exposing children to naked adults.
When that show came out, I actually knew a lot of friends and family that wouldn't let their young daughters watch the show because it's like, especially for young girls going through puberty, like that show is just particularly damaging. Like the suicide rates are already crazy, you know?
Jonathan Haidt has a lot of stuff on this.
But it's like the fundamental question is, did somebody commit sewer slide because they watched 13 Reasons Why and it convinced them that it's a good idea?
It glorified
Maybe
it.
it's not
it made
as
it seem.
direct.
It
They
made
didn't
it.
even prosecute that girl who like tried to tell her boyfriend.
Yes, you're talking about the one in.
Yeah, but she didn't go to like jail.
Yes, she did.
Not for like what? For like less
She got
than
like
a year?
years in prison.
No.
For convincing her boyfriend to go through with it.
What was that person's name? I
Michelle
thought she
Taylor or
got,
something
I thought she
like
got
that.
off on that.
I think it's happened a few times, but Michelle Taylor.
Okay.
But
maybe I'm
that
wrong.
show was about a girl who, took her own life.
They made a show
Or
about her too.
Yeah.
boy or girl, I forget. But she like almost left clues to like let people know what happened. The 13 Reasons Why.
So somebody just
They glorified it. They made it seem noble. Like it's like
did somebody
almost,
like reenact that in their?
I think no, but it just made it seem like it was an okay thing to do. And that's the
In a
issue.
broad
If you're already
sense,
sad
yeah.
in that place.
The chat is now talking about Papa Roach. Last resort. It's incredible.
I don't know. If you get to the point where you're thinking about sewer slide as some kind of like revenge against people in your life, then you already don't have empathy.
I don't think it's that.
So-
I think it's like a big defense against it. It's like, oh my God, I can't abandon my responsibilities, my people, like my family. And now they've taken that away. It's like, no, it's okay for you to do that. It's okay. And I mean, Canada's doing it in real life. They're like,
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Have you seen the meme? It's like, help! I stubbed my toe, and it says Can. It's the Grim Reaper.
Oh my
behind them. Allow me to help.
Disco Jensen said, Feds figured out brainwashing and trauma goes hand in hand with MK Ultra decades ago. They use it on us daily with media. Great premise for a show.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the it would be very hard for Hollywood to write that. The CIA would probably come in and squash it. Wouldn't let them make it.
Steve Ryman said, burgers, you can mix up the toppings, the spices on the meat, the bun. Try a burger on a brioche bun and thank me later.
yes.
That is all.
Oh, nice with just lots of butter all over the bun.
You can crack an egg on it. That's what they all do at the trendy restaurants. Crack
I don't
an
need
egg,
an egg
on it.
on my burger. Get out of here.
Jane H. Wilder said, who the F greenlights this ish? Face palms.
That's a fair question. Who does greenlight this stuff?
Maybe there's no oversight, and that's the
Name
issue. Maybe we just assume that there's these really like dynamic workplaces going on, and it's just an ish show the whole time.
Thank you.
I couldn't get the slap loud enough, so I had to like. I couldn't get the slap loud enough, so I had to like go into post and like manipulate the gain like with a filter to make it so you can really hear the slap at the beginning. That's my favorite part. It's incredible.
Dollclick
Thank you guys.
I got the cast brew and it's supposed to go out today. I love
Really?
this show and all is as it should be, but should be until we learn. If we don't learn, then that is our demise, I guess.
True.
I read that terribly.
We
Sorry.
should do a taste test.
So you
test.
experienced just a few moments of what it's like to be me most days when I can't read anything properly. Story of my life. See, never more does the imposter syndrome hit when I try to read something. It basically comes out like gobbledygook,
That's a good word.
nothingness, nothing at all understandable. So it is what it is. All right, guys, before we go, could you one more time hit the like button, subscribe to this channel if you've not done so already. Thank you very much. Kellen, my friend, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you guys. You can follow me at KellenPDL, and I just want to say, no matter how upset and angry you get at the world, it is therapeutic to talk about it with real people and not online. Sit down, have a conversation with somebody, even if you guys are talking about the same thing. Get it out, get it off your chest. Feels good. Thank you guys.
That's true.
Perfect.
Thank
Mary,
you for that message.
There's one more super chat there.
Yes, High Voltage 75 said, outside, it sounds like a tornado is about to hit my house. I have no basement,
be safe,
but don't
bro.
worry, PCC. I'll hit the like button before I die.
Thank
It means
you.
a lot.
Thank you.
That's
Be
your
safe.
last decision on this earth. Well, while you're at it, you should go on Instagram, send me some validation. That is Mary Archived, or send me some hate on Twitter. That is also Mary Archived. And see you in the next
Real
life.
quick, do you remember that kid that survived the tornado while playing Fortnite?
No.
It was a few years ago when Fortnite first came out. He's like, well, if I'm gonna go, I might as well win this Fortnite
He died
game.
doing what he loved.
No, he survived, but like he was prepared to go. You know.
Yeah. I love that.
Perfect. Guys, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brett Dasvik on both of those platforms. Remember, Pop Culture Crisis is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you'd like to follow the show on social media, we're on Twitter at PopCulture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. I also want to reiterate that we do have an audio version of this podcast. It's on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, platforms like that. Go ahead on whatever your audio podcast platform of choice is and leave us a 5-star review. Nothing lower than that. Thank you very much. We will be back, guys, with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Adios.
Bye.
Later.